It is another episode of Everyday People on GhanaWeb TV. Today at the Dome Market, I am speaking with a student from the Accra Technical University. But currently, he has deferred his course to sell okra. I know you would be more interested in the reason why he decided to do that. Join me as we speak with him. My name is Victoria Chebafo. Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Morning.
May I know your name, please?
My name is Francis Butchie. Yeah.
So I see that you are selling okra. In Nkrumah.
Yeah, that's the plural form of okra.
That's the plural form of okra?
Yeah, okra.
Okay. So for how long have you been doing this?
Okay, let me say a year and 3 months.
Okay. A year and 3 months.
Yeah.
So that was in 2023?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us how you started doing this.
Okay. Let me say I took over from my sister, yeah, who was hospitalized for some time now. Yeah. So taking over, you see, we've been to school a little. So they used to do it in a normal way. So when I came in, I just added some little business or entrepreneurial skills that I learned in school to it.
Okay, let me cut you. You said they were doing it the normal way. How is the normal way done?
Oh, the normal way is they take it, sell it to the people, and that's all. But me, now I have a TikTok account, I have a name. Everyone who buys from me knows me as Assorted Okra. That's the name I used to sell my okra. So everybody comes around, I'm looking for Assorted Okra. Yeah, I do order for people too. I have people who work at the restaurant and they come for order from me. So I've taken it to a different level. Like at first, she used to sell to the normal people who comes to the market, but now I've been able to extend it a little, where I get orders on WhatsApp, and I do it for them later on, and I go and give it to them maybe after work in the evening, and I go and give it to them. Yeah.
So let's start from growing up, or let's continue from growing up. You know, usually growing up as a child, you would always want to wish to be somebody. Maybe I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be that. What do you want to be?
Growing up, it has been my dream and my passion to be an engineer. And I've pursued that to some certain level. I have experience in the engineering aspect also. I've worked with AA Adishia Company Limited. I've worked with JL Properties. Yeah, I've worked with them. I've done a couple of works. Even currently, there's a project going on in Winneba campus, 2,000 bedroom hostel facility. I've also worked there before. Yeah, so it's my passion to be an engineer, and definitely I will achieve it too.
Okay. So are you done with SHS University?
Yeah, I'm done with SHS. Okay. I'm in university currently.
Which university?
Accra Technical University, but right now I'll say I have deferred my course because the person supporting me was down. So I need to take over from here so that the business can grow.
Who is this person?
That's my sister.
Okay. Yeah. Where are your parents?
My parents, my dad is living at a different place and my mom is at a different place too.
So like they are separated?
Yeah, they are separated, but they've not divorced. Wow. Yeah.
So you are living with your sister?
No, I live on my own. Yeah.
So do you have contact with your parents, either your mother or your father?
Yeah, I went to visit my mother yesterday. Yeah.
How much do you make from selling it?
How much do I make from selling it?
Like daily?
Okay. It depends on the goods that I'm having. Because right now, my farm is inactive for now. So I'm buying it from middlemen. So let me say, yesterday I took a load of 1,040 cedis. And this is the remaining ones. Yeah. So if I should sell it and the people do not cry that I should add like jara to it, I should add more to it, and I sell it according to what I'm selling, I can make 400 to 500 cedis. Yeah.
So it means people asking you to add some to theirs when they buy it. It really affects you people.
Really at first, because they sold it for me for 7 for 4 cedis, 7 pieces for 4 cedis, and I'm giving it out for 5 for 5 cedis. But sometimes they ask you to make it 6. Some people will plead with you to make it 7. You have customers too who always buy from you, so sometimes we are a little bit passionate with them. So I can make it 7 for you, 7 for 5 cedi, and I will take only 1 cedi. So every 5 cedi I have 1 cedi. So when I do it that way, it reduces my profit. But if I'm to get it like 5 for 5 cedi, you get 1 cedi and 2 pieces. So if you should sell like 15 pieces, you get 2 cedis, you get 3 cedis, 15 cedis, you get 3 cedis and 6 pieces, which you can sell another 5 cedi out of that. See the
Assorted. Yeah. And I see you have a scarf on. Is there a reason why you have the scarf on?
Yeah, that's my market niche, because when everybody comes, they say I'm looking for the guy with the scarf. Even if the person have not seen me before, that's how they describe me to the person, that when you go, you see him with a scarf. So if the person doesn't see me with the scarf, be like, and then I'm not the one. Because maybe today you bought from me, you want your friend to come and also buy from me. That's the way you would describe me. Okwa waboduku, bemana waboduku. So if you come and see any guy no waboduku na, and get me So I have different type of scarves. Yeah.
Okay, so the youth out there, friends like yours, who are done with school but are not doing anything, waiting for maybe a white collar job or something, do you have any advice for them?
Oh, I have so many advice for them. I want to tell them that they should find something doing, anything at all. Because looking at what I'm doing, I would say it's better than some white collar jobs. Because within a week, if I see my take home, it's enough. Even though the country is very hard, but I'm using it to sort out my things. So they should get something. They should try something. There is opportunity anywhere. See, some things may not look lucrative, but before you start it, before you know it, we should just add a little, let me say, a little mindset to it and change things, because people are doing things ordinary way. But if you go an extra mile, you can get extraordinary results, which will help each one of us. Because if I want to sit down and say, okay, I want to definitely work in the engineering aspect, so I want to go to school, I don't think by now, I don't know what I'll be using my life to do. But right now, I've been able to do some things, and I'm raising my fees, and hopefully I will go back to school. So anything at all, provided it's not stealing, it's not scam, it's not fraud, it's not prostitution, and it's something that I would say morally is right, they are good to go. Because this is a big marketplace, and I would say this business has given me the opportunity to meet different people. Because sometimes when you come, we are like 8 Oko sellers, but when it comes to me, and it helps me to sell. And now even my sister cannot compete with him, because I have more customers than her. So she's relaxed at home, taking care of the baby, and I'm doing everything, going in and coming out. Yeah.
Thank you very much for speaking with us. Yes, your social media handle.
Yeah, on Facebook, you can find me, Cannot Be Rich, Big Brain. My Nikki, Big Brain. When you go to TikTok, it's Big Brain or Assorted Oko. Instagram is Cannot Be Rich, Big Brain. Yeah, and my number is 0551 439754. Anytime, any day. Assorted Oko. I got you.
This is all Francis has to say about his personal life. He is never giving up today nor tomorrow. Again, this is Everyday People on GhanaWeb TV. I'll see you in the next episode. My name is Victoria Chebafo.
I wish everybody to open up his brain and think well and choose a good person who can take care of this country. Not only people who comes in and say only what they want to say, convince people and give people what they small things, and then they go and put them on power. Then later on they start suffering. We don't want that kind of whatever. So I wish Ghanaians to think well, to choose their choice. They should think twice. They should sit back and think very well for so many years. If it's good for you, it's not good for your brother. If it's good for you, it's not good for your daughter. So you have to think well. Think very, very well. Who is the best person? I'm not for NPP, I'm not for NDC. I'm for the whole Ghana. So you guys should think. The way the white people are thinking, think like that. You shouldn't think like it's stupid. They give you 100 city, 200 city, you vote. Your future is very, very miserable. You guys should think well. How many years you are suffering? These people are for themselves. Don't you see the way their children are enjoying? You don't see what they buy for their kids? You don't see the cars they are using? And then you follow them? Think twice. Ghanaians should open up their mind. Not that only they say, hey, no. They shouldn't trust anybody. They should sit back and think what their father is earning, what their mom is doing, what the brothers are doing. So they got to open up their brain and wake up. Wake up. Not this guy or whatever. They should think well. The future is more great.
Beloved nation Ghana, my country, Mr. Obi Biala said, Abra aka a month to the election. Obi Biala emma asumdue emra o my Ghana. Hwe ye ni babia ko o my Ghana. Asumdue ayewe. Sabi enkwala wom, disabled wom. Ani ba bebre wo ma o my dey. Omuntimi entokwa ba omuntimi enyan. Mesre. Say ye ni Ghana furo bia ka o my Ghana ho. Abano kokotu ya no wakofie akotena se no watie say the EC electoral commissioner Ghana constitution amani tumi authorizing say on obetimi the provisional results e di aba ama Ghana ya dia tumi say this is the satisfied results on my Ghana yewo timisre say MPP ne be wini o say gum ne be wini o say NDC ne be wini o akua donko moma ye nyinara. They accepted the results of the EC. No, young too. Mamma, who can say, oh, wait a minute, yes, yet, wait your William election. Said the Biacano. You will need our police station. Police station. A hot and an election 18 minutes. It's Bomadine said, candidate Biala, who reponent. But you know, I were vigilant. No one say, who did Mapa at your candidate? Men now. Monko mobia and win here. Emma then day no election and Casa and results now open when you and no one to blame easy. Easy na duma all year. Or Junemu as neutral person. To my stress up one in the hall or police station. Now she said, bet me, I get Jumani year. And my results now were especially bar. It's never. It's not on my Ghana. Said the Ekano. Peace Council for Comedy. Mama assume Jumla. No on my intimate in developing. On my intimate assume intimate intimacy and my and I must see the green.
I'm never Magana mine say, Yina auto, Nina Butre, Nayina Tima, Sanse, a race na race and about 1 year or two. Say, and out of Manchester, we are, you can come at another time. The message Ghana for Yina auto, sending your dog and a peace country. Independent from an onion, Benya, and let's say. yɛn nyinaa bɛnya asomdwe ne yɛnyɛ ɔdɔ ne yɛde akɔtɔ aba no asomdwe ne ɛsɛ sɛ yɛto abɛwie a ne yɛn nyinaa ɔnom na yɛnkuro dede sɛ bɛba fa valent bi aba yɛto wie a wobɛtumi akɔtiri taa no so bɛsɛ 5 o'clock a wobɛtumi aba na wayɛku na watie party ne kɔ nyɛ ɔparty ne kɔ yɛn nyinaa ne yɛada nyame ase ne yɛatena asomdwe bi sane sɛ Ghana yɛ peaceful country.
Can it say, Opa, you are doing just a woman. You are doing Opa, Nam say, Ghana, best in you. Babotre, what to have and what to be a yard, the other to be a yard, what that was. What a show with them, fine. Yes, I send you for you to trust them. Those away now I can't the end and now to a cosmonet and topa, there be Canadian, or more better than the catcher on the stairs. Or more, and now would say, Boko, Kotuaba, said the Baya, Asu, Ebeba, Ama, Yanni, and Man, so we are smiling, Adriana Ghana.
Actually, I was simple. Banco, I don't know what team, and if I ever got to man, on no head. I do not go to a man. I'm not going to number to Maba. I didn't know better confusion. No come up to Mother. No come up in this MPPA. Chase a challenge on 1 hour. From up to Maba. No come in this and no do no about it. Almost way. About Pasiabo. FBI, I was simple.
Yes, my big crowd, the best of us to see.
About the moon for about the moon. Many time I'm the always I put in our photo about the moon. Because what will be over maybe at the same thing or the remember about a more woman, I'm into that. No matter one. There is no one who way I may have to say I'm found facing your face that you do not want to come and corner Macunia. If I say a baby, I say I check up here, and never quite a colony. Tiana, do a day in two first of one for ball, but Pufu, we say, or no corner, and man near my head. Yeah, me too, me come home. Because if you're back of 5 years, no work, a clear, and you do your turn, and petrol, and idea, no, to put the crania, no, the ideas of your baby. But I say, some revenue should be quite said. The idea we are a turn, say a turn. You be a pen or torn out. Oh, I cannot be done. Homework, a toy has 5 cities. I'm quite classy, 2 grandpa 5 cities. Diana will be this animal. If I get the eye, the host of walk on my mind. I need to know before no show anything. No. See, I'm not no summer dear. It's me a cousin. Ah, well. If you are seeing color, you need to be a man can be Cabana Comacasa forward of my portion. I know you tell already, Casa. Oh, to you, man, the colony. I am now my move for so was a name at the Emra from my name and the from the Giants. Yet the host of winning a bar by an Tino, in the house of a baby and send me a man in a head. They're finished. And the second year, I haven't told me I'm back to my house in but you can't clean up my tree and name far from a pint again. Yet, Nick to a man who didn't gun about it. Because he a poor man, I feel I don't find the new minds and the public. I don't know my almost have been better. I am far from my pant, I am far by me and the other of the public.
Me voting there, I even told my colleagues I'm selling my vote because whether I vote for you or not, I'm still going to suffer. So when you give me an amount of 1,000 and I vote, I think I have something better in it. Whereby me going to vote just free like that. No, I will not vote free. When you give me money, I'll vote for you. I'm selling my vote. That's to me. Because after all voting, I'll just come back, ride my motor. It's not like I don't have good grace. I'm having good grace in the house. Nobody to help.
Meet Kofi Aponso, a deaf blacksmith who is so talented at what he does. Now, as a lot of people come to him, how is he able to communicate to the people to understand? Even when it comes to pricing, how is he able to do that for the people to understand what exactly he means? As the world celebrates International Sign Language Day, we are here to find out how he is able to leverage sign language to be able to do his business to the understanding of the general public who come to him for the work.
In a small workshop in the heart of Takwa, the sound of hammering metals filled the air as Kofi Aponso, a deaf blacksmith, meticulously shapes tools and repairs equipment. For the past 30 years, Kofi has dedicated himself to his craft, proving that disability is no barrier to mastering a trade. Growing up, his hearing siblings could easily engage with the world around them, but for Kofi, communication was a daily struggle because he was the only child born deaf among his parents' 6 children.
So our firstborn was actually a hearing. He was a male, and then same to the second person. And then the third born was also a hearing. The fourth born being a girl was also a hearing. And then the fifth, the same thing, a girl and a hearing. But I was the only one born deaf. Yeah, so what happened was that since then life has been very challenging, and then we are only left with 2 at the moment. But regarding the hearing and then the deaf side, I'm the only one being a deaf.
Speaking through a sign language interpreter, Kofi Aponso told me that he came to Takwa with his mother from Accra and he decided to stay there in order to make ends meet. Kofi sees his job as a gift from God because he didn't learn it from anyone, neither did he go to school to learn it.
So I'm actually an illiterate, and that I learned this profession myself. Due to my illiteracy, I was thinking about what to do, especially on the issue of employment. So my mother brought me to Takwa, and then a lot of my family members didn't know that I was around. And I personally didn't know the living conditions in Takwa here. So my mother left to Accra, and then bought new tools back to Takwa. And then I started mounting the structure. And I continuously prayed to God. And then gradually, so we have some tools or some items that I used in cars, and they were the things that I began with. So I actually learned this profession myself. It has always been my dream. And then even sometimes I dream about repairing of tools. And that I became consistent and I concentrated on it. So actually learning of this profession was done by myself. Sometimes tools that are spoiled, I welcome people to bring them on board. And as a result, I tried perfecting myself with that.
However, his journey has not been without its challenges, especially when it comes to communicating with his clients. While he quickly learned the art of blacksmithing, interactions with clients became a persistent challenge. Despite his remarkable skills, Kofi's clients' inability to understand the sign language, which is the language he understands, often forces him to rely on others for assistance.
Now when the the person comes and then speak, I may not hear. But depending on the tool the person brings and then the gestures being made, I would understand. If it's difficult, I would call in another hearing friend to actually listen and then explain it in such a way that I will understand. Once that is done, I communicate the price of the work to be done. That is the work mindset. If the person speaks in such a way that I don't understand, I quickly rush to beg someone to actually speak on my behalf. The person speaks to him and then he explains to me, and that settles the issue. I actually have 2 hearing people that normally assist me. In case one is traveled or one is not around, I call the other person to come in to assist. It actually becomes challenging. For instance, if I don't have any other person, these 2 people not available, I will have to rely on another person who is around that I can explain things such that I will understand. But the person speaking and me being a deaf is very challenging. When the person comes and is speaking, I let the person know right from the scratch that I'm a deaf, and that the person should be patient as I call in another person to come assist me.
This dependency, however, extends beyond basic communication. Negotiating prices for his services poses another significant hurdle. While our conversation was ongoing, a client came in with his business. Kofi has resorted to writing on paper to communicate the prices, but even this method has its drawbacks. He struggled to write the price correctly. He wanted to write 2,800 cedis, but ended up writing 20,800 cedis. But for the interpreter who accompanied me to conduct the interview, who was around to serve as a mediator, Kofi might have lost the business, or the client would have had to wait for Kofi to go and look for another person to help both parties understand themselves.
Oh, those.
that's not going on. I'm not Jamaica. Jamaica. What's up, Andy? Where the Mama Bufu?
Nonetheless, Kofi has a remarkable way of striking a deal with his clients, thanks to his honesty and the quality of his work. His reputation has earned him the trust of many, and even with the occasional misunderstandings, customers leave satisfied. He said his customers come from every part of Takwa and Swayam and the Pristiahoni Valley municipalities with their works, because he is the best at blacksmithing.
I actually have a lot of people coming around from diverse places. Some from Aboso here in Takwa, some from Swayam, some from Bogoso, a whole lot of areas. They all bring their work to my place, and I'm the only person over here. I'm the only person over here. I'm the only expert, because there are a lot of tools that I have, and a lot of people do not have that. They don't really have all those tools. And I'm the only person that makes a perfect work whenever they come around. I don't like deceit. I'm always honest with my work. Yes, a lot of them. Motorcycles, a lot of people have been coming. I sometimes even have white people coming around. Yeah, and then they even sometimes come to video whichever work that I'm doing. They video everything. Sometimes they even gift me, and they gift me millions.
According to him, the place he is operating from does not belong to him. Due to this, he is unable to develop the place to befit the work he does. He is therefore appealing to the general public to support him acquire land on which he can build the kind of structure he wants.
This land is actually not mine, but that of my masters. And it's my aim and my goal to actually own my own land in order to build a project or start this project such that it will actually showcase the work that I'm doing over here. I'm actually appealing at the moment that I have sponsors and people that could support me, secure my own plot of land, as well as establish my shop such that it will showcase everything that I'm doing regarding my work.
But for Kofi, the challenges he faces every day go beyond his workshop. He believes that his solution lies in the broader community learning sign language, emphasizing the need for inclusivity.
When hearing people come around, they try to speak, and I have to go beg someone to assist in that regard before I understand. Now that is really a big challenge and a big blow for us. Normally, it begins with gestures. He does his, and I try explaining the cost involved and everything. So we are pleading with the hearing community to actually be serious with the studies of sign language in order to help with our work. Thank you.
As we celebrate International Sign Language Day, Kofi's story is a reminder of the importance of breaking communication barriers between the deaf and the hearing community through the learning of sign language. I have come to Sign Language Empowerment Silanem Academy, an organization which is helping in the training of sign language in basic schools in Ghana, to find out the progress made in the learning of sign language in Ghana so far. According to the Executive Director of Silanem, Richmond Baidu, the government and some organizations are making some interventions toward the learning of sign language.
Okay, so I think the government is doing a lot when it comes to the issue of sign language studies. For instance, if you go to the nursing and midwifery training colleges, if you go to the teacher training colleges, there is the teaching and learning of sign language in all these institutions. However, there are still some gaps that need to be filled, in the sense that these institutions, some offer them only for a semester. And I believe that this, in my own opinion, isn't going to help. Because once they move to level 200, level 300, everything has been forgotten. So I believe that making it compulsory throughout, from level 100 till they complete, will go a long way to assist, such that once they complete or they graduate, they can be of help to the deaf community. The next thing we can also talk about is in relation to the Ghana National Association of the Deaf, which is NAD. NAD has also introduced a professional sign language training at the University of Cape Coast UCC, where professionals, those who want to become professionals, also go there to have formal education. However, there are still hitches, in the sense that you can imagine if a person who is a newbie or someone who is now learning or picking it up, it's going to be difficult for such an individual, and hence there should be avenues for new students to actually acquire sign language education. Also, National Association of Sign Language Interpreters Ghana, which is NASLEG, where I serve as a secretary, I believe that they are also doing their best by mobilizing all interpreters within the regions, in order to be of help to the deaf community.
Richmond Beidou is advocating for the inclusion of the teaching and learning of sign language in the curriculum in the basic schools for students to learn the sign language, just as French is studied in the basic schools. He noted that his organization has begun introducing sign language in some basic schools. Through this, the organization has been organizing sign language quiz competitions for these schools to test their sign language fluency. Mr. Beidou believes that when the needed support is given to organizations to help in sign language training, the communication gap between the deaf and the hearing communities will be bridged to bring harmony.
B, C, D, E, F, J, H, I, J, okay, F for what? F for, some of you are reading, some of you are yes, okay, let's go this guy, F for.
So we are hereby advocating for the teaching and learning of sign language across all institutions, especially our basic schools. We believe that the introduction of sign language in the basic schools will help take off or unveil certain misconceptions that the society has about deaf individuals. Since these children are the next generation, we believe that even if the persistent issues are difficult to be dealt with, handling these children will help do away with these challenges that we are facing. We are hereby appealing that the government should try its possible best to include sign language as part of the school's curriculum. Just as French has been made compulsory now, we believe that it is possible to as well include sign language as part of the education curriculum in order to foster an inclusive society and also help the deaf community. Therefore, in our own small way, that is my organization, SLANEM, that is Sign Language Empowerment, we have introduced a pragmatic adventure by introducing sign language into basic schools in Ghana. We are specifically located in Takwa, but annually we organize a sign language quiz competition by including all basic schools across the country, bringing them on board in order to also assist in the advocacy campaign. We are hereby pleading that the government should extend a supporting hand in the teaching and learning of sign language in the basic schools and across all institutions as well. So research has shown that children who are exposed to the teaching and learning of sign language have their brain developed to about 20 to 40%. This really tells us of the cognitive development on the side of our children if we enforce the teaching and learning of sign language. So I believe that the significance of sign language is not only limited to our deaf community, but will as well be beneficial to the hearing community as well. So we are hereby pleading to all stakeholders to come on board to assist in that regard.
God bless our homeland, and make our nation great and strong, bold to defend forever.
From Takwa in the western region of Ghana, my name is Thomas Tete, reporting for GhanaWeb.
About 20 years, I'm trouble. I'm not going to be a crowd. The girl make a bra, or man, I don't know. The offer is to grab a deal by Wiswa. The people to have the one button there, made a 2 year old Sophie and Wada. The very winnie because Mamma Winia over him, but also we over him, 2 years. Now, when I'm moving for 20, I'm not going to ask him, and I don't know.
little over 15,400 people living in Ghana are living with kidney diseases. Today on the Health Focus Show, we'll be talking about what kidney diseases are. I am Elliot Aitenwete, and I'll be doing this with Ruth Fawcett. She is a medical practitioner at Medcare Plus. Ruth prefers to be called Asantwa, so I'll call her Asantwa on the show. Hello, Asantwa, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, briefly, tell us what a kidney is, then we can delve into what kidney diseases are, and then the subsequent questions would follow.
Okay, so when we talk about the kidney is one of the major organs in the body, and each individual has two, naturally, unless you come with an abnormality and you have one. So you have two kidneys, one on the left and on the right, located at the back. Okay, and what a kidney does, it acts as a filter in the body. So the blood that goes through the body, from your brain to the heart, all the parts of the body, it goes into the kidney. Then the kidney filters this blood, removes the waste from it, removes toxins from it, and then removes excess fluid. And then it produces urine for you to pass out. It also helps to produce red blood cells, which is good for circulation of oxygen in the body. It also helps with bone formation. Yes, so this is basically what the kidney does. In its function.
So what then is a kidney disease? Or when do we say someone has a kidney disease?
Okay, so when you say someone has a kidney disease, that means the person has a condition that is impacting the functioning of the kidney to be able to filter your blood and then produce the urine, to be able to remove the toxins, to be able to remove excess water. So if you have a disease, it means there is a condition that is going to prevent the kidney from doing its function very well. Basically, these are
what are the types of kidney diseases? I'm saying this because most often when you hear people talk about kidney diseases, it's all about chronic kidney disease. Sorry, is that the only type of kidney disease we have, or they are just subtypes, and this happens to be the most recurring one among Ghanaians?
Okay, so when we come to kidney diseases, it's not just the chronic. You know, we have the acute kidney disease and then the chronic. Okay. Acute means it came within a very short time. You saw the symptoms very early. Chronic means it's been with you for 6 months and more. That is what some literature is saying. It's been with you for 6 months and more, and it's becoming a lifelong condition. Then you say it's chronic. So when we look at the types of kidney disease, yes, we have one that is the glomerulonephritis.
You can break that down for us who are not in the medical field.
Yes, glomerulonephritis is very simple. All we are saying is when you go into the kidney, you remember I mentioned the kidney filters your blood. Yes. It has small filters in it, the glomeruli. Okay. Nephron relates to the kidney, so we just combine the two words. Then glomerulonephritis, it means there is an inflammation in these small filters, okay, that is impeding the kidney from doing its function very well. Another disease you can talk about is UTI, that is a urinary tract infection. It sounds simple, it sounds common, but you see, when you have a urinary tract infection and it's not treated very well, it starts to grow up. It starts from the tube that comes outside, brings the urine out. If it's not treated, it climbs into your bladder. Still not treated, it goes up and then goes to your kidney. Then we call it pyelonephritis. Okay. This is another type of kidney disease. And then we have one disease we call lupus nephritis. Lupus is an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune means once you are there, your body's immune system starts fighting its healthy cells for no reason. Okay, so lupus nephritis means your autoimmune system, your immune system is fighting its healthy cells, but this time it's targeting the kidney in particular. That's why we've added the nephritis to the lupus. And then we have one, Berger's disease. Berger's disease means, you know, we have immunoglobulins. These are kind of antibodies that the body produces. For unknown reasons, like autoimmune diseases, the body produces a lot of the antibodies, and then it pulls up in your kidney. Once it pulls up there, it puts stress in your kidney. Then now the kidney begins to swell up. Okay. Then it becomes inflamed. This is another type of kidney disease that we are looking at. And then we have the analgesic nephritis. Analgesic comes from the word painkiller.
Wow.
That's analgesic. So when we
How I
say...
wish I can see what came to my mind when you mentioned that, but you tell us exactly what it's about.
Yes, so you know there are certain people who do take in a lot of painkillers.
Okay.
It could be over-the-counter painkillers like paracetamol, ibuprofen, diclofenac. Okay. So if you take too much of these, we give these to you in the hospital on prescription base. Okay. There is a dosage. Yeah. If you take too much of it too often, it tends to harm the kidney. Then we call it analgesic nephritis.
Is that the reason why, not related to kidney disease, but is that the reason why people advocate for the use of more traditional and herbal medicines? Because they say that sometimes when you take this biomedical drugs, it tends to affect your kidney. Is that the reason why people are advocating for that?
In a way, yes. You see, we have different schools of thoughts.
Okay.
I, for one, will go first for my orthodox medication because that is what I am used to. That is what I've been trained with. Okay. People prefer to use the herbal medication, not because the orthodox ones are going to destroy your kidney. As I mentioned earlier, medications are good. Until you take it the wrong way, they become a poison.
Yeah.
Yes. So even if you go in for a herbal medication and it's not the right medication and you take it the wrong way, it can still harm you. Okay. Yes. So yes, people do use that as a reason for choosing herbal, but on both sides, if not used the right way, it can still harm you.
We'll talk about the causes of kidney diseases, but I'm more curious about, among all the types of kidney diseases that you've stated, which one is more recurring among Ghanaians?
Recurring among Ghanaians. When you take women, for instance, you find UTIs coming very common.
Okay.
Why? Because of the way our genital has been made. Our urethral canal, it's very close to where we defecate from. So it's easy for microorganisms to travel from the anal region to where the urine comes from, the urethra. Okay. So for women, it's common to have UTIs. Okay. Also, when it comes to people who keep urine on themselves for long, they tend to have what we call the kidney stones, where you have crystals forming, and then it's blocking the duct the urine passes through. Okay. And then you have people who abuse painkillers. They will have more of the analgesic nephritis. There are people with lupus syndrome. They will have more of the lupus nephritis. So across different categories, you may have one that is showing up so much.
Is it safe to say that the type of kidney disease a patient might have is, say, proportional to their environment and then where they find themselves? So if I'm a woman, by the fact that I'm a woman, I'm going to get the anal.
The urinary tract infection.
Thank you. And then if I take more painkillers, that is when I'm going to get that one. Okay, so let's talk about lifestyle and how that makes it more prone to getting kidney diseases.
Okay. So when you come to your lifestyle, actually we've been mentioning it along. So if you are a lady who doesn't practice very good personal hygiene, you are prone to UTIs, prone to kidney disease if you do not treat it. Another thing is, if you are not eating very healthily, you are putting yourself at the risk of hypertension, diabetes. These affect your kidney as well. If you are someone who takes a lot of medications unprescribed at your own will, then you are putting yourself at risk of a kidney disease. These are some of the lifestyles that will help you to put yourself at a higher risk of getting the kidney disease.
Is chronic kidney disease the same as kidney failure? Because in Ghana, most of when we are talking about kidney diseases, those are the ones that pop up the most. So it's that the person wants to look at what dialysis is, and to the best of my knowledge, I understand that the moment you are going through dialysis means you are at the chronic stage. So can we say it's the same thing? And if it is, how do such persons live? Or what would you recommend? What lifestyle decisions and lifestyle choices would you recommend people at that level emulate?
Okay, so when you say people at that level, we are looking at people with a failure.
Yes.
Kidney failure. So first, to answer your first question, chronic kidney disease is not kidney failure.
Okay.
Chronic kidney disease means the kidney disease has been there for a very long time. It's been with you for a very long time, past 6 months, maybe years. But once the kidney fails, then it means the kidney is not working. Okay. So we have stages of the chronic the kidney disease. So we have 5 different stages. And it's at the 5th stage that will diagnose you of having a kidney failure. So we have the stage 1, which is mild to normal, because when it comes to rating you for your kidney disease, we are looking at how much your kidney is able to filter your blood. And there is something we call the estimated glomerular filtration rate. It's a big term, but all we are trying to say is there is a rate at which your kidney should filter the blood. Yeah. So when you come, we do our test, and it's able to tell us, okay, so your filtration rate is at this point, is at stage 1. It's at 90% to 100% stage 1, you are very fine. Your kidney is very good. When you come to stage 2, then it means you've dropped to 60, okay, to 89%. Then we are saying you are stage 2 of chronic kidney disease. The kidney is still fine. You are still okay. Maybe we are just seeing some proteins in your urine. Then you come to the stage 3. Okay. Once you get to stage 3, then you've come to 30 to 59%. Okay. Then we are saying now your kidney is compromised. If we are not careful, it's going to progress and it's going to fail. So there you now see the person beginning to have symptoms of hypertension, feeling weak. Then we come to stage 4. When you come to stage 4, you are almost there. Now, the kidney, the disease is severe. At that point, the little push, the kidney fails. So kidney failure gets to stage 5. Okay, so you have the chronic, which has stayed with you for 6 months and over, and then you have the kidney failure, and now the kidney has shut down. It's not working, or it's working, but very, very weak. Then now, the treatment modalities come in. Okay. Do we have to give you a new kidney, or we have to put you on dialysis? Okay. So depending on your condition, available resources, then we may decide to choose to put you on dialysis or to get you a donor, which is not so easy.
Which most of us understand the difficulties that comes with treating kidney diseases, like you've mentioned. So looking at the types and then the stages of kidney diseases that you've mentioned, it could be that there are a whole lot of people that are walking around and are closing to kidney diseases but do not know about it. How do we identify that someone has a kidney disease or someone is more likely to have a kidney disease?
Okay, so symptoms you may look out for to say maybe this person is having a kidney disease. Most of the time they'll come with weakness. Okay. They are almost tired all the time. Okay. Little exertion and then they are tired. Okay. Their blood pressure is skyrocketing. It's always high. People with kidney diseases usually will come with some swelling. Okay, swelling of the face, swelling of the hands, swelling of their ankles. Then when you see stuff like that, you know, okay, maybe the kidney could be compromised. They begin to urinate a lot. There are certain kidney diseases, once you urinate, you see it foaming up. Okay. So you go to the urinal, you pass the urine, and you notice it's very foamy. You should be checking it. You woke up in the morning, your face is swollen, especially around your eyes. That is a periorbital swelling. Okay. You should be checking from your doctor to see if your kidney is compromised or not. You feel like vomiting. You vomit sometimes. All these things will be telling you that probably your kidney has been compromised. So then you come in, we do our thorough assessment, and then we'll be able to confirm whether it is a kidney disease or it isn't.
Wow. It has been thrilling so far and very exciting. Elliot, if you just join us, you are on the Health Focus show here on GhanaWeb TV. My guest is a physician assistant with Medcare Plus. She is Ruth Forson, and she prefers to be called Asanzo. Let's go for this quick break. When we return, we'll be talking about treatments. Welcome back to Health Focus here on GhanaWeb TV. I'm Elliot Aitinwete. I still have here Ruth Forson. Before we went for the break, we're talking about kidney diseases. I want us to look at some stereotypes associated with kidney diseases. So there are people who believe that kidney diseases cannot be cured because they are spiritual, and no matter how well or how early you start treating it, there's no cure for it. The moment you are diagnosed with a kidney disease, is that you are healed at a prayer camp, a church, or you die. Another one too is that if you go sometimes, especially private hospitals, they intentionally give their patients certain drugs for them to develop kidney diseases, and then they can make financial gains of them. And there are those who also believe that if you have kidney disease, the best way of treating it is through herbs. Have you heard some of these stories about kidney diseases? How true are they?
Okay, so yes, I have heard a lot of these stories, and the first one that says when you have kidney disease, you can only pray about it and go to the prayer camp. Well, yes, I am a Christian, and I believe in spirituality as well. I do pray when I am not well, but I seek medical help as well. That is why people have been trained with the knowledge to be able to treat conditions like that. So I personally advise, once you are praying about it, you also back it with the medical aspect as well. And there are treatment modalities. So once you do both sides, I think it's better.
On a lighter note, because you said you are Christian, do you believe that kidney disease can be caused spiritually?
I'm yet to see one. But what cannot happen on this earth?
All right, but is there any medical backing to treating kidney diseases with herbal medicine?
Okay, so with my few interactions with herbal doctors, usually when you are in a chronic kidney disease state, they take you off the herbal medication because the kidney has been compromised. We are trying everything to reduce the burden on the kidney, okay? So most of the time, herbal doctors will put you off your herbal medication and then take care of it based on the treatment modality, what is causing the problem as well.
One stereotype I forgot to mention earlier is that, so in the wake of kidney diseases and then discussions around dialysis, what have you, there are some people who believe that now smoking marijuana, weed, and other drugs contributes largely to people developing kidney diseases, lung failure, and what have you. So they have substituted it for shisha. Is that something that people who cannot avoid smoking go with as a substitute to say smoking marijuana so that they do not develop kidney diseases?
Okay, so quitting marijuana, going to shisha, shisha also has its own components in it that are harmful to the body. They are harmful to the lungs, they are harmful to the kidney, they are harmful to your liver as well. So it's not a substitute. It's just another form of danger. So the best is to quit the smoking. But obviously, if someone has been addicted to smoking these substances, we usually wean them off. We don't take them off completely. That is when you have them bouncing back and then going to other alternatives. But moving from weed to shisha is not the solution.
Dear viewers, let me be your fan police. So if you think you're avoiding kidney diseases by stopping the smoking of marijuana to smoke shisha, then Ruth is telling us that you are getting it all wrong. It cannot be that way. So just stay away from smoking entirely. Now let's talk about treatments for kidney diseases. Are you able to prescribe treatments to kidney diseases based on the levels, or there's just one generic treatment for everyone?
Okay, so it's not one size fits all.
Okay.
Initially, we mentioned different types of kidney diseases. And it depends on what the cause of the disease is, and then the extent of the damage. If you have come to us and you are at stage 5, I am not now going to prescribe medication for you to take 2 times daily. You see that kind of treatment? No. When you are stage 5, it means the kidney has failed. It means your blood is not being filtered. Toxins are all over in your bloodstream. You are not able to produce the urine. The treatment modality now comes to either putting you on dialysis or getting you a new kidney. If you come and you have, say, lupus nephritis, which is an autoimmune disorder, then there are medications that are able to deal with the immune system attacking the healthy cells. That is another treatment modality. So it all comes back to the cause of the kidney disease as well as the extent of the damage that has been caused. That will inform us what treatment to give to you.
But classically, what are the types of kidney treatments we have?
Okay, so depending on what caused it, there may be medications. Okay. And then there may be the dialysis. Dialysis, we have 2 types. We have the very common one everyone knows in Ghana, which is the hemodialysis. That is when you come to the hospital, or you can do it at home. We put a needle in your arm. We actually draw the blood through a machine. The machine cleanses your blood and then gives it back to you. Wow. Because your kidney is not able to do that. So we take it out, the machine cleans it, and then puts it back in your body for you.
The machine now becomes your kidney.
Exactly. Then we have the peritoneal dialysis. That one is not so commonly done. That one, the peritoneum is the inner cavity of your abdomen. Okay. So there is an incision made, and then there is a part that the blood is put there. And then, you know, inside the peritoneum, we have very tiny blood vessels. Okay. These serve as the filters. Okay, so they put the blood in there, and then it filters. It's just that for that one, you have to do it for a very long time, and it's very frequent than the dialysis. And then we have the transplant, where we give you someone else's kidney, depending on how available it is, how your body matches, your blood group is matching and all that. Your body not being able, it's not rejecting the kidney. That is another treatment. But if it comes and is acute, we look at the cause and then we may be able to treat it for you. If it's failure, then we may either have to take it, give you a new one, or we'll have to clean your blood for you.
Now, you've spoken about the medical aspects of treating it. Is there a way we can treat or manage kidney through our diet? Is there any relation? Because there are some people who say the moment you start feeling pains in your kidney, means that you are taking meat at night, so you should reduce the level of or the intake of meat you take at all times. Does diet play a role? And then what do you advise for people who are undergoing treatment?
Okay. Yes, diet plays a role because everything you eat, okay, after absorption of your nutrients, it goes back into the blood will go to your kidney will filter it. If you are eating poisonous stuff, if you are eating unhealthy stuff, it will all come back to you. With this issue about eating a lot of meat at night, if you take in too much of protein, you see, proteins are good. Animal proteins are good. Plant-based proteins are good. But if you are taking too much of the animal proteins, and then it becomes a burden for the kidney, that is when you start having problems with it. If you are taking too much salt, okay, like you have your food and then you still sprinkle salt onto the food because you are not getting the taste you want. Exactly. Too much of the salt, the sodium, is harmful for your kidney. There are certain fruits that give you a lot of potassium. Example is banana. Banana is a very good fruit, but taking too much of it gives you too much potassium and becomes harmful. There are fruits that contain dairy products that have phosphorus in it. Too much of it becomes a problem for the kidney. Okay, lifestyle, you are smoking, it becomes a problem for the kidney. You are taking in alcohol, it becomes a problem for the kidney. So basically, when you look at it, everything we usually advise for hypertensive patients as well as diabetic patients pertaining to their diet, their lifestyle, exercising, it all flows to kidney diseases. So that is the same modality we use.
Are you able to say, give us a guide on what we are supposed to take in? Because you mentioned, I like salt a lot. So anytime I go to the food joint and then I feel like I'm not tasting the salt, I add more. Now you're telling me that that practice alone can result in me developing a kidney disease. So at what point are we to say that this is enough salt? At what point are we to say that this is enough meat? At what point are we to say that my intake of alcohol, is too much?
Okay, so with that one, we have diet plans for each individual per their health status.
Okay.
So amount of meat I will be taking will be different from what you may be taking, because maybe we've done your vitals, we've done your lab tests, and we've notified some abnormalities. Okay, so as to give you a specific diet plan, say take 1 chicken drumstick a day or eat 1 banana a day, I may be misleading you, because I would like this to be in a diet form.
Okay.
Yes, because once you say it, someone goes out there and then they eat what they're not supposed to eat, or they go out and then say, oh, you said salt is not good, I'm not eating salt at all. Okay, meat is not good, I'm not taking in any plant-based protein. Then now they end up losing their proteins. Malnutrition will set in.
Yeah.
Yes, so there's a diet plan for each individual. But you see, the basic rule is too much of everything is bad. The salt you are putting on the fufu with the soup already has the salt in it, but you just want to taste the extra salt and feel it. Yes, that is why you put it on there, but it's actually wrong. It's actually wrong. It's just to taste.
Does exercising every day ensure that we do not have kidney failure or a kidney disease? Or what role does exercising play in all of this conversation?
Okay. Exercising on its own will not prevent you from getting kidney disease. What exercise will do is that it will help you avoid certain conditions or slow down the process of you getting it faster. Let's say hypertension. Hypertension has its own way of causing kidney diseases, because when your blood pressure is extremely high, it's going to destroy your blood vessels. Okay, so when you come in, we advise you to do some exercises, because when you do it, it helps the blood vessels, like the arteries, to relax. They become very elastic, so they're able to reduce the blood pressure for you. Indirectly, it goes to affect your kidney. Then we say, when it comes to diabetes as well, exercising, okay, is going to help. Changing your diet is going to help. So when you come for diabetes counseling, come for hypertension counseling, we recommend the exercise, because when the exercise takes care of diabetes and hypertension, it will in effect take care of kidney disease. And mind you, diabetes is one of the highest causes of kidney disease. Why? Because diabetes on its own, when the sugar is very, very high, it has one way of destroying your blood vessels in the kidney. And when the blood vessels are destroyed, especially the arteries, it means that your kidney itself is not going to get enough oxygen-rich blood, nutrient-rich blood. It means the kidney is going to suffer and die.
And it won't be able to filter out blood.
Exactly. And then another thing is that when your sugar level is extremely high, it destroys your nerves.
Okay.
The nerves in the kidney. So now, when the nerves are destroyed, something like your bladder, when it's full, you do not have that urge to know that my bladder is full, let me pass urine. So you store the urine for long. Once urine is still stored there for long, it gives you a high risk of having urine tract infections. You understand? So once you have the urine tract infection, pooled up urine there, you are diabetic. That is what bacteria, sweet urine, they'll be in there, and they'll cause a lot of infection, leading to kidney diseases.
Let me draw you back to the treatment. So you mentioned that at the chronic stage, we can either treat a patient with dialysis, or we can look at organ donation.
That is at the failed stage.
Yes, at the failed stage. Thanks for the correction. What's your thoughts on that? I'm asking because at the moment, GhanaWeb is championing a campaign called the organ donation, and we've been able to get a discussion at Parliament, and we are hoping that it gets passed soon. However, there are a group of people who believe that if we are able to make that into a legislation, it's going to be used as an avenue for organ harvesting. What's your thoughts on that? Organ transplants, and do you think it's about time we have a legislation on that?
Okay, so even before the bill will be passed, we still hear stories of organ harvesting.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. From where I sit as a health practitioner, I think organ donation is good. Once the donor is healthy enough to survive and the recipient's body is accepting it, then that is a way to go. We have 2 kidneys. In the worst of cases, you can survive on 1. So if that 1 kidney is very healthy for you to survive on, I think it's a good gesture to donate it to a relative or a loved one. I will go for that because it's one way of saving someone's life, especially when God has been so generous to give you 2 and you can survive on 1. If the need arises, why not?
Okay. So that has been our discussion on health focus today on GhanaWeb TV. We spoke about kidney diseases. We're taking through the types of kidney diseases, the stages of kidney diseases, lifestyles that make us more prone to having kidney diseases. We look at treatment. And the last thing we touched on is that there should be a legislation that allows for kidney transplant. My name is Elliot Aitenwete. Today's show was done with Ruth Asante. Ruth Forsin. I didn't want to call it. Oh, okay, Asantoa. She is Ruth Forsin. She is a physician assistant with Medcare Plus.
Yes.
Let's meet same time next week.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kwalebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@ghanaweb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
Of public transportation in Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia has launched
electric buses for public transport. According to him, these buses are energy efficient, fuel efficient, and also will help reduce the traffic condition in the capital. As of now, 100 buses have been commissioned by the president. Come with me, let's take a look at what is inside this particular electric vehicle. To address the issue of public transportation in Ghana, Dr. Baumia has launched the electric buses for easy transport here in Ghana. Today at the launch, we want to speak to some of the drivers that have been trained to drive these buses and have a look at what goes on when you board an electric bus in Ghana. My name is Stella Jejom Sugli. This is BizTech on GhanaWeb TV. So I'm here with one of the drivers who have been trained to drive the electric buses. Pache Frosting.
Frame Bismarck Amoa.
Okay, Mpacho, how long now you training mamu for?
Almost 7 months. 7 months to 8 months more. And you train here for bus.
And since why are very qualified so bit me drive a bus?
Oh yeah, I'm very qualified for the bus.
Okay. Until you be call bus ni inside. Now what you me say me person me for electric bus be a say na process na be. Okay, let's go. So this is how the buses look like. It has the architecture of the Metro Mass transits that we used to have. So when you enter the bus, this is the first step. Into Mira bus, the
first step. We na utia, odo card, your card or the trace or a betis scan payment of bus no. Into a tia na we ne biama. Into bia a be redo and say any pabako. And I etua no afo into bia na buy inside into buy inside no abetina se obetina we seat so e cameras e bus nim so na ebe ya e bia obi bi eyira o car ni ma o bus station a e be hu nipa kora fire na se be hu be be etoye na ye de wade ama back ana oba bus inside so ayo sebi omo na ye omo ya ana se bi obi a ne ho nye den no say ofo and as we say be afo a we be sorry amano na wa ho odin no wa gyinem na wa mana akonya no no watena se.
Okay, into second year ma obetime gyinem
pachan.
Okay, into can no efa how many passengers?
Oh, for seat ni dey efa 22 passengers and standing so dey almost 22.
Okay, into efa ni say 44 in total.
Pachan into total ni 44 passengers.
Okay, in say me who say yes starting no now 6 cities or so. Price no.
Okay, price no we ni identity to Accra.
Okay.
Into identity to Accra no and 6 cities. Into ofo no identity now they call Accra 6 cities. Into sanity.
Into price no like was so dada. Where actual price are you bet here for?
We actual price are here for the bus no.
It's where I call Adenta.
Street Accra to Adenta.
Okay, into buses Nina do I say?
Oh, Nina 100 buses.
How training no like how do you feel about it?
Oh, training the BBI on point because your mom training for say EBA yeah. Fine, oh yeah, driver that, but on the do be for processing because we be cheap passengers say nipa and I will be cheap how I will be nipa ho abotre will be from wa like oh as a driver no ubunfu we be abotre man no na be there we be how I ne be kasa sa into processing no and penny for ma o the FM sa
it's now age my be answer will be cheap buses no.
Oh for me no na me a semi trailer driver. Okay. Answer about me there, me bawi ni.
So buses, electric buses, 80.
You charge it. The electric and you charge because electric bus. Inti se u charge 100%. 100% no. Ereke for 70 hours. And sana battery no I run it down. Until run it down, I open with Juma, no I be charge. We know automatic. Automatic. We have drive, reverse, and neutral. And our bahan say your door. First gate, second gate, and we heater. Say it be a screen no. A banner screen and use we near the emanine war.
Okay. It's who in your mates be one can control.
Oh, one can bit my control because we tap and go. Or card into the chest na one can artist can also not a be no accountants into. It's no need for say be a mates and I say
it's tap and go cards even your.
Oh, tap and go cars. See, the main shedent mean say be a biwa highness, a biwa basin, it's a biano. I have rabo, I beba.
Oh, charging ports no ever.
Okay, maybe a charge bus no. I'll see. I hadn't say, and here for the charging until okay. Charging points ni woni say nti opon adwuma na wako packet na wako charge nti hanum na charge bus
okay but say battery wu ya ehia say be charge
oh say on say adwuma na ode ye ebia ebetim de wako be before in case of ebia traffic bi betimi a chinti no ehia say unya pon adwuma obetope no na efu say na be ya ebia okodi traffic bi mu na say na yema na enko affect na wo passengers ebun fu.
So as he was taking us to, when you enter the bus, this is the first thing that you see, and then this is a tap and go meter. You point your tap and go card to it, and then it will deduct the amount of money that's the fare for your destination. Currently, it charges 6 cedis from Adenta to Accra. So once money is loaded onto your tap and go, and you point it to the meter, it will deduct your 6 cedis, and then you have the opportunity to enter the car. Immediately you are able to pay with your card, it will give you access into the car. So you now have the opportunity to enter the car. You can sit anywhere you want, depending on the space available in the car. According to him, currently the car takes about 22 people. That's the seats take about 22 people, and they made provisions also for people with disabilities. Also, there are standing points in the car, so if you don't get a seat, you can also stand. The standing points also have 22 stands, so in total the car can take 44 people plus the driver, which is 45. I asked him whether he needed a mate to conduct business, but he says that because of the tap and go system and every other thing that he needs to control the doors are right at the driver's side, so he does not need any mate or anyone to assist him when he's working. According to him, the car charges up to 100%. They have electric charging ports, and it's 100. When you charge up to 100%, it can take you up to 70 hours. So after 70 hours, you would have to recharge. But usually, to be on the safer side, he will charge his car every day after work. He said he used to drive a trailer bus, but he has been trained to drive the electric buses. And taking him through the training, they train them on how to relate with passengers, human communication skills, and things to do whenever there's any incident or any emergency. So another thing that Bismarck mentioned was the fact that there are inbuilt cameras in the cars, which will allow for, in case of you leaving your item or your phone or anything at all in the car, or if any activity of theft goes on in the car, the camera will be able to record it and they can track it and get your items back to you. The car is also, that's like my favorite part of it, it's also fully air conditioned. As I'm standing here and I'm feeling very good because the car is fully air conditioned, and every other thing in the car is currently very operational. According to the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, these vehicles will serve as a source of relief for most Ghanaians, especially people commuting from Adenta, Ashaman to the capital. He also says that transportation fares have reduced by 40 to 50% whenever one gets to sit in an electric bus. The Transport Minister also mentioned that there will be designated lanes for the buses to use, and so users should not worry about being in traffic for longer hours as they would with the normal cars that we have in Accra for public transportation. My name is Stella J.J. Sogli for Best Tech on GhanaWeb TV.
GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation 2007.
The sad reality is that today our democracy as a country is threatened.
Words of affirmation or love language comes to edge us.
When this bill is passed, more lives will be saved, and the financial
I wish everybody to open up his brain and think well and choose a good person who can take care of this country. Not only people who comes in and say only what they want to say, convince people and give people what they small things, and then they go and put them on power. Then later on they start suffering. We don't want that kind of whatever. So I wish Ghanaians to think well, to choose their choice. They should think twice. They should sit back and think very well for so many years. If it's good for you, it's not good for your brother. If it's good for you, it's not good for your daughter. So you have to think well. Think very, very well. Who is the best person? I'm not for NPP, I'm not for NDC. I'm for the whole Ghana. So you guys should think. The way the white people are thinking, think like that. You shouldn't think like it's stupid. They give you 100 city, 200 city, you vote. Your future is very, very miserable. You guys should think well. How many years you are suffering? These people are for themselves. Don't you see the way their children are enjoying? You don't see what they buy for their kids? You don't see the cars they are using? And then you follow them? Think twice. Ghanaians should open up their mind. Not that only they say, hey, no. They shouldn't trust anybody. They should sit back and think what their father is earning, what their mom is doing, what the brothers are doing. So they got to open up their brain and wake up. Wake up. Not this guy or whatever. They should think well. The future is more great.
Welcome to Campaign Trail here on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Eche Atisu, and today we'll do a sit down with the MP for Kratchi West, Helen Adjoantoso, who is in her third term in Parliament, but she's hoping to seek the nod of her electorates to be retained in Parliament for a fourth time. We'll find out why she wants to stay longer in Parliament and what have been some of the instrumental things she's done over the period. Once again, welcome to Campaign Trail. Honorable, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you too for coming.
And how has Parliament been for you? I mentioned that you are seeking a fourth term in Parliament. How has Parliament been for you?
Thank you very much. Very challenging, interesting.
Okay.
And it gives you the opportunity also to learn and to have experience, you know, when it comes to dealing with illiterates, when it comes to the legislature, because you get to know the procedures and coming out with a bill to be passed into a law. We recently, managed, in a way to pass the affirmative action bill. So you get to know the procedure, and by so doing, you've got to also read and get to know more about what happens in Parliament. And then as you also continue, you win your first term, the second term, you gain experience to do more and to be able to, do what is expected of you in the constituency. So it's been an experience, being in Parliament for the first term, second term, and third term. And we learn from our mistakes as well. Maybe you did it the first time, the second time you're learning from some mistakes that you did and you're correcting the mistakes. So that's what is helping me actually to continue to win. And to be honest with you, this is my fourth term and I'm going to win and come back to Parliament.
You mentioned challenging, and you mentioned the fact that along the way you build your experience in Parliament and you get to know your way around things. But I just want us to backtrack a little. Let's get to know you even a little better. How and what launched you into politics, first of all?
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. When I was younger,
okay,
when we were in secondary school.
And which secondary school did you go to?
Kratchi Secondary School.
Oh, okay,
We're going to celebrate, Kratchi is going to celebrate the 50th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
On the 10th.
Okay.
So the issue is that during the revolution, I was in secondary school.
Okay.
79, I was the guest prefect for Kratchi Senior High School. And now it's a senior high school. It used to be Kratchi Secondary School.
Okay.
Youthful exuberance, and we were so much in love with Papa J,
Okay, that's Rollins.
Jerry John Rollins.
Okay.
We're so much in love with him. So we're all shouting, in support of him. So I got myself involved in the student task force. And we're involved in, evacuation of cocoa and all the stuff. So after secondary school, I went to St. Francis Training College.
Okay.
And after St. Francis Training College, I was posted to Accra. That was my first posting to Accra. To Kaneshi was 7 and 8 middle school.
Okay.
So that was where I was teaching.
So that means your background is teaching?
My background is teaching.
Okay.
I'm a teacher by profession.
Okay.
So, so back in Kaneshi, West 7-8 middle school, there was this, in 1983, we call it the hunger period.
Yes.
Where there was drought in Ghana and it was difficult to come by food and whatever. There was this, another task force, a group that was in charge of, monitoring the sales of bread, evacuation of flour, distributing among, bakers, and we monitored the sales and all that. So I was part of it. So that I joined the People's Militia and in Accra. So along the line, I had my paramilitary training and I was sent to the border. That's Nkwanta South.
Okay.
It was Kratchi Nkwanta in those days because it was one constituency. But now we have 5 constituencies out of Kete Kratchi. So I was a border patrol officer. I was adjutant in charge of the militias for almost 9 years.
Okay.
So I became interested in politics.
So it was building your interest.
It was building my interest, and actually, even though I do not come from Nkwanta, I come from Kratchi, but because my parents have lived there, I was sort of, I wasn't born there. I was born in Kratchi, Old Kratchi, but then because my father migrated from Kratchi to Nkwanta, he He was a big-time farmer.
Okay.
So we have lived there for more than 10 years. And the Constitution says that if you have lived in a place for 5 years or more,
then
you can contest.
Yes.
So I did contest in 1996. I contested as a parliamentary, candidate, with the late Honorable Bediame.
Okay.
Yes, that was 96. So I realized that women were not interested, in going into politics. So there were a few women, in parliament, even at the disassembly level. Now it has improved, but just a little, because out of 275 MPs were only 40.
Yes.
So, and I am the sort of person where when men are doing certain things, I feel that as a woman,
you should be able
or
to.
as a little girl during those days, I wanted also to do that sort of challenging, to see whether I'll be able to do what boys were doing, I'll be able to do what men were doing. That's how I got so my interest in politics. So like I said, I contested in 1996. So that is it. My interest grew when I actually lost my job in 2000.
Which job? Your teaching job?
No, after 92, I didn't want to go back to the classroom. Okay. I went on secondment.
Okay.
So after my parliamentary training, I didn't go back
to the classroom.
To the classroom after 92. So I was appointed the district coordinator NADMO. But
Okay.
when NDC lost in 2000,
then you lost your job.
Politics, this kind of thing. So yeah. So I lost my job and I traveled outside the country. I was in the UK. And still monitoring what was happening. Being trained as a missionary, and then after my missionary training, I got enrolled in Lambert College and did my advanced diploma in childcare. So I'm a early childhood professional.
Okay. Still within the educational.
Still within educational.
Okay.
Leave the classroom, but then you develop interest. So I was trained as a early childhood development professional.
Okay.
So then I was monitoring what was happening in Ghana, and actually my coming into politics, becoming an MP was God ordained.
Was it not already something that was going to happen from the history you've given us, all that you were doing? How did the God ordained part come in?
Yeah, so you see, I said I left the country.
Yes.
Trained as a missionary, and then I went to school. So I wanted to live in the UK to work, and maybe during holidays I come back home. So I wasn't actually coming, after my training, not returning to Ghana to do politics. I wanted to concentrate on whatever I was doing in the UK. And then one night I had a call to come back to Ghana. The Lord spoke to me clearly that I should come back to Ghana. He wants God-fearing people in Parliament. 3 times. So I spoke to a few prayer intercessors. I was a member of the prayer intercessors team. And they said, oh, no, why do you have to go back to Ghana? With all this experience you have in the childcare sector. So I prayed again. The Lord said.
It was profound.
Profound.
That you needed to come back.
The Lord said, I said you should go back.
Okay.
I'll bless you in Ghana more than if you go.
Which year was this?
This was 2008.
Okay.
So the Lord said, go back to Ghana.
You came back to Ghana.
So I came back to Ghana with the intention that the Lord said He wanted me in Parliament, so I should come.
So the only reason you came back to Ghana was because God wanted you to come here and enter active politics in Parliament.
Yes. He said He needed God-fearing people in the legislature in Ghana.
Your storyline is different from a lot of other stories we hear of people who, in fact, when you were talking about Chairman Rawlings and everything, I was imagining that was what launched you into politics. But then it deviates to your
sojourning to UK and then this.
Yes.
Quite a different
so
story.
I was so much interested in politics because of the late
Rollins.
Okay. You know, so I was so much happy about what he was doing. You know, a young soldier, you know, who was so much concerned about the welfare of the people of this country. So I fell in love with him. You know, here when you talk about love, people think otherwise because of his
ideals, his ideologies,
his ideas, ideologies, yes, accountability, probity and accountability. So some of us were interested.
Okay.
You know, but because I traveled and now I was also seeing the calling in doing ministry work. That's why I was trained as a missionary. So I wanted to deviate, you know, from politics and to do missionary work and to do, you know, childcare work in the UK. To do both, you know, missionary work
plus
the childcare, you know, work in the UK because I was a very qualified, you know, person to be a nursery manager. So when the call came, then I realized that, you see, you are into politics. You live, you want to do evangelism. Now God says that, yes, go back and do what you wanted to do earlier on before you came to the UK. So then I realized that, yes, I can do politics and do God's work at the same time. I'm a reverend minister of the gospel.
Okay.
So then I realized that if it's God who is speaking, who am I? So if people say that if you're a Christian, you cannot do politics, that is very wrong. If I had not heard God, I wouldn't speak the way I'm speaking.
I see.
You can be a Christian because for what the Lord told me before I came down, I realized that He wants Christians, He wants God-fearing people. You know, there are Muslims who are, you know, they also fear God. So that is what God wants Ghanaian Parliament to be. Because He spoke to me and I came. And when I came and they said I was not going to win, He said, look, I said you should come, you win. So I depended on God. The second term, they said I was not going to win. I said, until God says stop, I'm not stopping.
So that means 2012, you entered Parliament.
Yes.
2016,
yes,
entered Parliament.
2020,
yes, entered Parliament. You've already given us the assurance that you are going to be retained.
Yes.
I want us to take a short break, but when we come back, you'd explain to me why you are so confident that you are winning a fourth term. This is still Campaign Trail here on GhanaWeb TV. We'll be back shortly. My guest is the MP for Kratchi West, Helen Adjoantoso. Why and how confident are you about your fourth term? You say you're going to win. Where's the confidence coming from?
The confidence is coming from God.
Okay.
I'm inspired by the Holy Spirit. When the Holy Spirit speaks, I don't listen to man because I hear the Holy Spirit when He speaks. So if God says go, He knows what He's going to do.
I want to ask you.
No matter the
I want to ask you just a very maybe interesting question. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
Every other person who wants to come into politics, maybe the other people who are contesting you, don't they also have? Don't they have such stories that you think are they not also moved by such superficial powers or supernatural powers? That God will say, "This is the time. I want this other person," and you are sure that God says you are still going to go into Parliament, and every other person would not be able to unseat you.
You know what? There are people who also go into politics believing what they believe in. I believe in the mighty God who has created the heavens and the earth, and underneath the earth belongs to Him. So if God says that, go, and I'm going, not until He says that, maybe stop and do full-time work for me, nobody can beat me. Because when God says go and I'm going, you know that He's holding you by His mighty hands and nobody can snatch you from His hands. So because He has spoken I know that nobody can beat me until I decide not to contest again. And you see, even though I'm in opposition, NDC is in opposition, I'm an opposition MP. What I have done in the constituency, people are surprised that this is an opposition MP, and look at what he's doing. What I'm doing that this assembly is not even able to do what I'm doing.
Now that you're mentioning that, let's go to specifics. What are you doing? What have you done? What are the projects, your greatest achievements? Can you list some of them?
Yeah, you see, I was from 2013 to 2016. Don't forget I was the Eastern Regional Minister and Water Regional Minister. Yes. You know, I like setting record standards. You know, there was this conflict in Akuapem, in the Eastern region, 21-year-old conflict.
Yes.
Ministers have been there, they did their best, and when I went there, my attention was drawn to this fact that for so many years they were not able to celebrate Ujura Festival. And this is a very popular festival that Akuapems will want to celebrate. When I went to the Eastern region, I took this as a project. And by the grace of God, I was able to bring the chiefs together. And they had to sign an agreement.
So that was through your intervention?
Through my intervention.
Okay.
Do you get me? So then there was peace.
That's the first major one.
That's the first major one.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. I'm a peace ambassador. When I was moved from Eastern region to Volta region, there was this popular paramount chief called Togbe Kwajode. He was the paramount chief of Peki traditional area.
Okay.
He died and he was in the morgue for 6 years because of chieftaincy dispute. When I was reshuffled from Eastern region to Volta, I took this one too as my project. And because of my intervention, we were able to bury Togbe Kwajode.
After 6 years in the morgue?
After 6 years in the morgue. So then I realized that actually when God calls you, he helps you to do things that, you know, even men could not do. Then this Nkonya and Alavanyo conflict.
Yes.
I was very instrumental to actually calm down tempers in Nkonya and Alavanyo. I was the regional minister who was able to bring the chiefs of Alavanyo and Nkonya to Pando. I brought them there. We had a nice fashion and for them to sign. And I still have this white calico that, you know, the youth, elders of Nkonya, elders of Alavanyo, they had to sign that, look, we want peace, we want peace, we want peace. And I was even going with the military to play games, with Nkonya youth, with Alavanyo youth coming together. So it was so interesting. So during my time, there was this sort of peace in Nkonya and Alavanyo. So
those are three major interventions you made in bringing...
So because of that,
yes,
I was adjudged the African Female Peace Champion in 2015 because of what I've done. So I hold the title as African Female Peace Champion. You know, Ghana, I was also adjudged the Peace Ambassador for Ghana. And don't forget that I was the best regional minister in 2015.
Yes.
So this is a woman who, by the grace of God, I do things that people are taken aback. So apart from this, you know, I was the first female regional minister in Volta. I am the first female MP in Krachi. I'm the only female MP in Oti region.
So these are some of the things that gives you the confidence that you are going to be retained.
Yes.
You didn't mention any physical.
So apart from these ones that I've mentioned,
any physical projects or things that you've done,
and getting awards.
Yes.
You realize that there are a lot of awards here, international awards and local awards. You know, so apart from this, when you get to my constituency, for the last 6 months, I've drilled 51 boreholes.
The last 6 months?
6 months. If you go to my constituency, I'll take you to these communities and areas that I have drilled boreholes. The last 6 months, that's what I'm telling you. I've drilled 51 boreholes. apart from that, because there is our common fund is nothing to talk about. It's not, you know, you can, when you're talking about 5% of this Assembly Common Fund as the MP's fund. Our area, we have a lot of schools that were under trees. Under shades when it's raining and children have got to run home. Now what I'm doing is that, and I'll show you pictures, and you will see that now, because people doubt whether you are the one doing or not. So what I do is that when the project is completed, I put Honorable Helena Adwantoso, MP's project. Then I put the community, Daddy Crow, I put Amoy Kope, I put Tunga, I put Jasayo, I put, you know.
So the communities that you do these things
know,
in?
Yes,
okay.
so I'm doing pavilions, very nice pavilions.
Okay.
If you see the pavilions, you won't believe it. I mean, colleagues in Parliament see that, oh, can you give us the design or something like that for us to do same? Because if you want to put up completed 3-unit completed classroom block, you can't. How many can you be able to? But when you're doing these pavilions, you know, you are able to touch a lot of these communities, and they are so happy because children are able to study, you know, and teachers are also happy because, you know, they have a very conducive, you know, terrain or atmosphere, you know, to be able to teach the children. So they are happy that I'm putting up these pavilions. And what I'm also doing is that because we have, you know, communities on the islands, we don't have teachers. You go to some of the communities and you realize that from class 1 to the JSS, they have only 2 teachers. I spoke to the Minister for Education recently, and he was saying that maybe they have not received, you know, these gaps and whatever. But I spoke to the education director, and he said they have done so. So okay. I'm making a follow-up. Class 1 to JSS, and then they have only 2 teachers. So what I'm doing is that just to encourage the teachers who are teaching on the islands and nurses who are on the islands working. Recently I went giving them, you know, solar lanterns where they can at least use it at night for it can also charge their phones, because there are some of the areas you've got to travel several nautical miles to there's a capital to come in, or municipal capital to come and charge your phones.
Because
so I'm giving these solar lanterns. Yeah, no electricity. Okay. No electricity in most of the places on the islands. So this is what I'm doing: distribution of solar lanterns to nurses and teachers who are on the islands. What I'm also doing is that the health centers, at least three rooms or 2 rooms where 2 nurses can be posted.
So they can stay.
So that they can stay. I'm also doing that. I recently commissioned one of these projects, okay. And then I've started one, and within 2 months I will be able to, on the islands, within 2 months I will be able to finish.
Now your list is long, and I know we could go on and on and on, but I'm just wondering how other women, especially, now you mentioned the ratio of men to women in Parliament, and there's been that call for several years. Only recently Parliament has passed the Gender Equity Bill, the Affirmative Action Bill. Yeah. How is that going to contribute and help other women like yourself be able to get into Parliament and help bring the needed developments that are needed, especially in some of these remote communities that you're talking about?
You see, this country will lack in something. Sensitizing the public as to what should be done. The NCC, this is a well-established setup that can do education, that can sensitize the public as to what they should do, ABC. Look, this affirmative action bill, when you read Article 17 and 35 of the Constitution, it talks about gender imbalance. So why are we also not addressing it? So we felt, okay, with the coming of a law specifically addressing, you know, gender imbalance, that would be helpful. For instance, when the military are going to recruit, we're saying that they should at least, recruit 30%.
So there should be a quota for.
There should be a quota for girls, when it comes to recruitment. In Parliament, we are 275. It's only 40 who are women. Some have even lost their primaries. So come the ninth Parliament, we don't know the number of women who are coming
Because
back.
this came way after the bill, earlier before the bill was passed. Do you think it would have been more helpful if it came before most of the parties did their primaries?
Yeah, but you see, when it comes to political parties, you cannot actually compel them to. But when they put some of these policies in their manifestos, then with the coming of the affirmative action bill, there's going to be a committee, a national committee for affirmative action committee that will be monitoring. That will be monitoring, the public sector, the private sector, as to whether they're actually addressing gender equity issues.
All right.
So that will be helpful. So this is what we have, come up with. There will be a committee that will be monitoring. The various sectors will be reporting to this committee as to what they have done when it comes to gender equity. So that will be helpful to us. Other countries who are, doing well when it comes to gender equity are countries who are also practicing the quota system. In Ghana, we are not practicing the quota system. So when we are done through with our elections and few women qualify or few women, come out as victorious, there's no room for any appointment. So in future, that's what we also advocate for, because the global, what will I say, tagging of gender equity is that by from 2024 to 2026, we should have the ratio should be 30% women representation.
Are we on track to that even for Ghana?
We are still at, even in Parliament, we are 14%. By 2028, it should be 35%. And by 2030, it should be 50%. We are no near. If you talk about International Parliamentary Union, when we hosted the union last year, Ghana hosted the union, International Parliamentary Union, Ghana hosted. When Ghana hosted, the global rating out of 193, we are 147 out of 193. So it means that we've got to do something.
That's a poor rating.
Very poor. And then we have, don't forget that we have also, Ghana has also signed on this international, like the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes.
We know that Goal 5 is on gender equity. We have signed on. And Ghana we have been missing the targets every time. Ghana, when they come out with the ratings, Ghana, we've been missing out. So with the coming in of this affirmative action law, the act, I think when we work seriously towards attaining or achieving these targets of 30%, we'll be able to do that.
All right. I don't want you to miss the opportunity of talking directly to your constituents and the larger women population who will be watching this. So I want to give you about a minute. Tell us what you are going to give them again. What's more to be expected from you? Yeah. So let's just have you speak to your constituents in Kratchi West.
Okay. What I want to tell them is that, you see, no one can go to my constituency to use money, because it happened in 2020 when last minute there were, my opponents were sharing, because the government is in power, sharing rice, sharing sewing machines, doing this and that. At the last minute, when they have not worked, they cannot boast of any projects. they're thinking of doing some this year, but I can assure you that my constituents, if they send money, they'll take the money. They'll take the money because, you see, the strategy, what I've seen is that you stress people, people are so hungry, and you think that you can use money to win them, you know, to your side. But people have suffered so much to the extent that no money can entice anybody at this time because people are really suffering. And my constituency, the poverty rate is also high. There are people who are working, you know, as fisher folks on the island. They are not even getting premix to go doing their fishing activities. So if last minute you go and give them money, that's vote for me, I don't think they'll listen to you. There are farmers who need even fertilizer they are not getting. Kalasi, they don't have the money to buy. So nobody, I'm telling my constituent, nobody. I have told them, I've gone around, I've done community engagements. That's why I am so sure of winning and winning big.
What's your percentage? What percentage would you give yourself in your win this year?
In my win, I'm not expecting less than 70%. Okay. I'm not expecting less than 70% because the people know what I've done. The youth are in love with me because my priority is that NDC wins for the youth to be able to be gainfully employed. Okay. Because there are youth in my constituency who have completed nursing training. They haven't received any postings. Some have completed teacher training colleges, and they have not gotten their postings. Now there's a teacher pupil ratio is so bad in my constituency. So if we come and we can post this graduates who have completed teacher training colleges and whatever, if we are able to post them, they will be happy. Nursing trainees, if we are able to post them for them also to get some jobs to do, they will also be happy. So they are looking up to me to win and NDC to win so that they can gainfully be employed. That's so the youth are mad. You know, they mad love with me because of my programs and my activities. So when I get to the constituency, if you happen to go with me, you see what I'm talking about. Okay. The girls, the boys, they follow me like something because they know that this is a woman. They tell me I'm the woman that we can trust. Okay. So I'm happy to tell you that and happy to announce that no matter what the devil does, no matter what my opponent, no matter what they do, I'll still win because the people have the confidence in me that this is a woman we can trust. This is a woman who has come, she has performed more than, you know, we've had 3 men. Fortunately for me, we have 3 men before I came in. And the people are seeing the difference between what I'm doing and what the previous men have done. So no two ways about me winning 7th December.
Thank you very much. And that's a very, very confident MP for Kratchi West. Yeah. She knows there's no room to fail because she's confident about that. So that's been our guest. Thank you very much, Honorable. And we wish you all the best as we go into the electioneering period and even on December 7th. So thank you once again. Our guest has been MP for Kratchi West, Helen Adjoantoso. And as we go into the electioneering period, look out for more of these interactions on GhanaWeb TV. Also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Look for GhanaWeb TV, subscribe, and click on the notification button. My name is Eche Atiso. Until another time, be safe.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session.
Yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
week. Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kolebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@ghanaweb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
Last time for no, omo ti say onipa waji schedule. Oye dia one day o me years atwede. On fan ko du enko fan ko wie pa da. Say dey emre bi asem wajan. Obo penalty money bo po no. Since that day, last time for Debi. Udi agro. Na o ma open for kra anwo by force on Kumasi. Coach ni there, udi so coach na nkasa oni onu nkasa oni angije onimu. O hwe ni TV so no okasa kra, udi so onye confident. Onye nipa maintain of the ba onye nipa wo confidence bi ewo ni mu because the way obesi akasa the way obesi as a bema pa wo gina so ni tirimu a obotinu sakola ba hu ni echo hu so ya bema ba ni mu no o to sini bebre o to ni confidence bi a wo ni mu coach na tell you something oh man pa ne ba bi ntan na onko do na yire ma anko di odo.
So it's about 30 days and Ghanaians will be heading to the polls to vote for a new president and members of parliament for the next 4 years. Ahead of that crucial vote, it's rather important to talk about election security, tackling misinformation, and as well as fact-checking, which is very crucial to ensure the integrity of our electoral process. Today on Election Desk, I have here with me Dr. Kafui Chekpo, and he's a research associate with the African Leadership Center, Nairobi, and we'll be talking about election security, tackling misinformation, as well as fact-checking. Doc, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Yeah. How are you too?
I'm doing very well. I know you're a very busy man, so it's very good to have you in the studio.
Well, for God and country.
Great. So what would you make of the current dynamics as we head into the 2024 elections?
Well, every election, since the foundational election of modern Ghana, right up to this, and when I say foundational elections of modern Ghana, right from the plebiscites that led to the independence election, the elections of 52 and then 54 before finally Ghana gained independence in 1957, through to present day, the 2024 election, which is just about 30 days away, have all had their different dynamics. And So it is important to look at that or to consider that when you are looking at election dynamics. But most importantly, under the Fourth Republic, we've also not had the same kind of dynamics since 92. 92 was foundational for the Fourth Republic. The dynamics were quite different, given that it was on the back of long period of non-elected governance in this country. Non-elected in the sense that we didn't have the president and his immediate assigns elected. But then in 1986, 87, thereabout, we held the district assembly elections, which was a form of governing from below in a participatory manner. But the 92 elections was when we began, we retransitioned again into having elections at the national level, where we elect our president and parliamentarians to govern for a period of time or a fixed term of 4 years. That election was different. It was foundational in the sense of it being the election that kick-started the Fourth Republic. 96 presented a different dynamics from 92, where in 92 it was largely the then ruling National Democratic Congress that was in firm control of affairs with a very, isolated opposition. In 96, the dynamics changed. The political landscape opened a bit more, opened in the sense that many people began to evaluate the options available and began to seek alternatives. And so the then largest opposition party in terms of the New Patriotic Party began to look more appealing to a cross-section of Ghanaian voters, and that would culminate in their eventual winning of the elections in the year 2000. That 8-year period gave Ghanaians another opportunity to now have a firm understanding of what each of the now two leading political parties have or portend for this country, and what they make out of it in terms of their electoral choices or voter decisions at the polls. And we have seen that manifest in the election results of 2012, 2016, and 2020. Going into the 2024 elections is going to be a similar thing. Most importantly, people are going to base their decisions on their ability to actualize their aspirations as individuals. And this is shaped mainly by political decision making in the country and how that affects economic outcomes, economic issues, being how the economy is able to allow individuals, citizens who are engaged in legitimate businesses, citizens who are engaged in legitimate acts as is enshrined in the Constitution, or as is allowed by the Constitution, to be able to make, I wouldn't say profit, but to be able to make adequate living, make livelihood easier for them, make livelihood what it's meant to be, that people can actually see progress in their income status, see progress in their livelihoods. People can be able to have an assurance that over their life course, over their working years, they can actually see progress in their lives, and they can retire happily, having worked and having worked and received the fruits of their labor in ways that are satisfying. Yes. So I think for this particular election, the main dynamics or the main issues that are going to shape election outcomes, all other things being equal, would be economic issues and political or governance decision making.
Great. Great, Doc. So you've touched on some of the sentiments that you are witnessing for now, but let's come to misinformation. You know, every election cycle has its own issues that it comes with. We tend to often have misinformation, disinformation, and all of that. How significant is this going to impact on this particular election cycle, just as it has in previous ones?
Well, misinformation, in the first place, comes through diverse channels. And it has always been part of us. Some people would want to refer to misinformation or disinformation as propaganda. Mind you, propaganda in itself is not a negative thing. The origin of the concept was to prosecute a particular agenda in a manner that aided a particular cause, not in a negative sense of using false information or statement. Prior to the proliferation of social media, when the media landscape in Ghana, for example, liberalized, there were a bit of misinformation. There were instances of misinformation where even traditional news outlets will report of an issue that have happened. I'll give you a very funny one. We heard about the Yutong Bas rape saga on the Tamale something road some time back. That was a classical case of
propaganda,
misinformation. But almost all traditional news outlets, and during that time we didn't have the proliferation of social media. Almost all traditional news outlets had carried that information extensively. It became topical. Even security experts had to be brought in to discuss the issue. But to date, I mean, there's still no record of any such incident ever having happened in this country. That's a classical case of misinformation that has nothing to do with social media. But given the age of social media, misinformation can happen or does happen in terms of how politicians, how political actors going into the elections would want to change the mind of voters, would want to influence how voters perceive a particular candidate or other. And you can see that, for example, with how statements and utterances of leading political actors, being it in the opposition or in the governing party, are twisted and used extensively. So, for example, they can take the template of any of the leading media houses, be it GhanaWeb, and then put an inaccurate or fake information on it,
and circulate it very widely as well.
And circulate it very wide. And I always tell people that fact-checking is not foolproof in itself, in the sense that how many people would have seen that and formed a decision about it? There is no guarantee that the same crop of persons who saw that misinformation would see the, the fact-checked version and use that to correct whatever impression they might have formed out of that, which means that the damage would have already been done. And so there is misinformation going on, and especially with the high stakes regarding this particular election, it's going to be even worse, especially in the 48 hours before and after election. That is to the polls, and then the 48 hours whilst we are waiting for results to come through. All these things are going to come out because people are going to churn out all manner of information out there, seeking to either elicit the attention of voters or the general public, caught their disaffection or affection for one party or the other. And for me, this doesn't portend well for the integrity of our elections and electoral processes.
Very well said, Doc. You know, a couple of years ago, social media wasn't what it is today. Today we've seen different dynamics. We have various social media platforms, X, Facebook. What crucial role would some of these social media platforms play, particularly with disseminating information to people, whether be it misinformation, disinformation, and even accurate information as well?
Well, I mean, that is a given, that they play a crucial role. There are people now who resort to either TikTok or Snapchat for their information. The advent of those people, you call them influencers, for example, have become for the lack of a better adjective, alternative sources of information instead of people going to the traditional media, be it the print or the audio or the audiovisual. People will decide to go to YouTube, for example, to watch what an influencer. Don't forget that these influencers add their own commentary, and these commentaries might not in themselves be a true reflection of whatever the issues are. But then that is what has become the norm of the day. So it is important that these people are cognizant of their actions, how it pertains on the national security of the country, and more specifically on election security. Because if there is an information, for example, even if you have multiple sources saying X or Y, it is not in your place to put your own understanding to the issue. You can only do that after there is ample information out there for everyone. And in any case, I mean, being a social media influencer doesn't make you an expert, an authority on a subject matter or an issue. Yours, perhaps, at best, is just to relay the information and leave it as such. Whatever people make out of it, it's a different issue altogether. So for me, I think these influencers must be mindful. Given that there are new laws, especially national security laws, that prohibits, that frowns on giving false information, we will be very mindful of that and make sure that we do not churn out such inaccurate information that are likely to affect the integrity of our electoral process and the outcomes of the general elections.
So, Doc, I've been having a very interesting conversation. I just want to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking about election security and some foreign vulnerabilities as well. So Dr. Kafui Ichekpo is my guest on this edition of Election Desk on GhanaWeb TV. We've been talking about election security, tackling misinformation, as well as fact-checking. We'll be right back. Welcome back on our break on Election Desk on GhanaWeb TV. I am Maoli Aholemek, and my guest is still Dr. Kafui Ichekpo, and he's a research associate with the African Leadership Center, Nairobi. We've been talking about election security, tackling misinformation, as well as fact-checking. Doc, I was having a very interesting conversation with you. You're talking about social media and all of that. Now let's move to the real issue, which is election security as well. Going into this particular elections that we have on December 7th, what measures do you think should be put in place to ensure that the integrity of our elections is very secure?
Well, I mean, in the Fourth Republic, election security has been on two scores. One has been the physical protection of the election materials and the immediate space of where the voting takes place. And so that is why during election days, security personnel are deployed to either accompany the electoral materials or at the polling stations where actual voting takes place. That is one aspect of election security. The other aspect of election security that goes to the core, the sanctity of the electoral process is about stakeholder engagement. And you would realize that prior to the last couple of years, we had IPAC as the main avenue through which stakeholder involvement goes. Because that is where the real security takes place, where you are able to instill confidence. All parties to the elections are involved in the decision-making process as to how the electoral process must run. They are involved in the decision-making process as to what issues or what processes must be put in place to ensure that the electoral process runs smoothly. This decision, having been taken collectively by all parties, is the surest way of guaranteeing the electoral sanctity or the sanctity of the electoral process in this country. Now, when you move past that and you are unable to breed cooperation at that level, it raises a lot of doubt, and that doubt breeds insecurity.
And we've actually seen with some of the parties contesting this particular election, they raising some issues there as well.
Yes, which is very cool, because see, voters go to the polls to elect, but given that we operate a liberal democratic dispensation where mostly electoral competition is based on party system, where parties mobilize based on identity, based on basis, based on, and this identity could be anything. It could be youth, it could be religion, it could be ethnicity, whatever. It is very important that you put in place measures where these primary stakeholders, so there are two forms of primary stakeholders: the contestants, the political parties, the individuals, and then the voters. So these are the two primary actors in the electoral process. But then the first of the primary actors are the parties and the contestants, being it independent candidates or otherwise. It is very important to instill confidence in the process from that aspect. That, in a way, has a correlating effect on voters' own confidence in the process. Because at a stance, voters are also politically aligned. And how their parties communicate to them
is also very
important. So if their parties have full proof, full confidence in the electoral process, and that is transcended to their members who form the core of the electoral base, that in itself calms tension, gives an assurance or gives a measure of assurance, and people are able to fly with it. Now, if that is not done, then we have a recipe for disaster. That is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is also when even the so-called non-aligned voters or the floating voters or the independent voters,
the special 5%,
very good. It also instills some form of confidence, so that if they go to cast their ballots on elections day, they have assurance that whatever decision is it that they are taking is indeed that is what is going to reflect. But then when that assurance is missing, we are on a time bomb,
and especially see some of the issues pop up.
The disputes and the conflict arising, and especially when the stakes are very high this time around for our election. No party is really in a commanding lead. Already they are split in the middle in parliament. That in a way shows the measure of their strength in the various constituencies, right? Because the elections cover the 275 or so constituencies, and if they are split in the middle, it tells you that that is a measure of one way of measuring their strength across the country. Now, beside that, it is important that the Electoral Management Institution,
which is the EC,
which is the Electoral Commission, and its assigns are sensitive to the national security of this country by ensuring that whatever processes, whatever actions, decisions that they are taking is in the paramount interest of the country and no individual. I repeat that because we have gotten to a stage where we have introduced a number of electronic processes, and we all know that electronic processes in themselves are not foolproof. They are subject to manipulation. These manipulations can happen at different stages of the process. It is very important for the EC to assure the general public, the voting public, and the contestants in the election that whatever system they are putting in place are safe, can be authenticated, can be audited, and can guarantee a smooth transmission of voter results and an accurate collation of results to determine the true winner of the general and parliamentary elections.
Great, Doc. Very interesting points that you've made there. But let's come to foreign influence. We know every election there are personal interests, and there are also some external, both domestic and external as well. How do you think we can tackle some of these vulnerabilities should they rear their head, coming particularly in the 2024 elections?
Well, I mean, we've always had some form of external
foreign
influence in our elections. A lot of it is not very obvious, and so I wouldn't have evidence to back, even though there might be anecdotal narratives around. The obvious, which you might not really call it influence, but are the foreign election observers who come in. Sometimes their opinions or decisions as to, we have monitored the election, it is credible, it is free and fair. It's a form of interference, and in a sense that at the end, even though citizens of that country may have issues with the process, an external entity would come and tell you that no, we think that the process is fair. I don't think that in itself augurs well for building or consolidating our democratic practice in this country. That is one form of it. As I said, the other forms are not very obvious in the sense that, I mean, even campaign financing is a form of election interference.
Yes.
And we know that our two leading political parties are very capable of sourcing finances from elsewhere.
External sources.
Yes, external to the jurisdiction of this country. That is a form of influence. Another form of influence is that, I mean, almost all the traditional media houses pick their foreign information or their foreign news from the established media houses, the external ones, right? Be it BBC, whatever. CNN. So whatever misinformation that CNN or BBC, I mean, those organizations are not foolproof from churning out misinformation or inaccurate information. And once we rely on them, the France International, the DWs, the Al Jazeera's, the CNN, the Fox, and all those, the Associated Press, once we rely on them, we are vulnerable in that sense because we don't even have the means by ourselves to cross-check and ensure that whatever it is that they are saying about our elections are accurate. And you would bear with me. Your media house published recently when National Security had to come out to debunk a report by the Reuters news agency that there were elements of Burkinabe jihadist elements in this country. Well, we don't have the kind of information National Security has, but to the extent that that is the only avenue through which we as citizens can verify or the government, we can get news from the government as to what is happening. That it tells you that these foreign entities may not in themselves be churning out the right amount of information or the level of information that is accurate to the issues that are happening on the ground. And to this extent, if during election time we have them, because they also churn out information on the go almost every minute thereabout. And if it happens that way during election period, and as I said, the 48 hours to and after the day of elections are very crucial. And during this period, if this thing should happen, we might likely see ourselves in some form of a crisis.
Great. So, I mean, we're hoping we don't have to have any crisis right there. But I just want to touch down quickly on voter education. We have about 18.7 million voters on this particular register. That's what the EC has told us so far. Going into this particular election, what do you make of the voter education? We have a lot more young people who are expected to participate in this election. What do you make of the whole voter education with this particular election?
Well, to be able to have a fair sense of the voter education, you first must look at the voter trends. Both NDC and MPP, who are the leading contenders to this particular election, have a certain core. The MPP mainly has its core in the eastern, among the Achim areas, the Achim Ekwapim Kwahu areas of the eastern region, and then also the Ashanti region, the Akan-dominated areas of the Ashanti region. These two regions give the bulk of the votes to the MPP. Also, in the northern region, the Dagomba areas are also one of the strengths of the MPP. However, the NDC most often draws its strength from across the country. I mean, so it is more like a multi-ethnic party, or it has a broad-based appeal, unlike the MPP. But it doesn't mean that the MPP doesn't have inroads in those other geographical areas or regions. Now, what is happening now, what I can foresee now from the publicly available data, is that there is a lot of youth interest in this particular election. A lot of first-time voters are particularly non-aligned, and this means that the urban areas in this country,
which is those in Accra,
Kumasi, Sekondi, Takoradi. To some extent, you can add Tamale because it is one of the fastest growing urban spaces in this country, and maybe Koforidua, Eastern region, and the whole area.
Those are also emerging as
fast developing urban settlement. These places would have a lot to say in terms of how the youth vote in those areas go, the trend in which they take. So far, when it comes to voter education, most of so in that case, in terms of the trend, the youth, the both parties do not have 50+1 of the youth. Maybe around 40% of first-time voters each.
So they need about 10 more to cross.
If they want to make a good showing at the election. Then now to voter education, most or both parties, leading parties, have used almost all the traditional avenues for voter education, be it town hall engagement, community debates, rallies,
television,
exactly, social media adverts, or even social media programs, programs that are hosted virtually on social media to try and whip up sentiment, either through their assigns or through their various party structures. So some of them are holding direct Zoom engagement with their branches outside of the country, being it in the Near East, the Arab region, being it in Europe, being it in North America, or even elsewhere on the continent in Southern Africa. Some of them are doing that. Now, that is encouraging because those are the tools available to them. But one thing that is lacking with our political system is that our parties, political parties, are not organic in terms of policy formulation. At some point in time, during their Congress, they used to have a day or two where they debate on policy issues and stuff. I don't know, I think the quality began to erode, and then after that, I think it has become just a mere fanfare and affirmation process.
Or they just bring us a manifesto and say, we are promising this, we are pledging this, and then they just leave it there without that real sensitization.
That participation of even their core, because, I mean, at the base, almost both parties should have not less than 200,000 registered members, for example, across the country. What is the input of these people into the various policies that they churn out? How do they even go back to validate the policy to ensure that these are indeed the policies germane to our constituent, our base, and in that sense can also transcend to the entire country? This is something that we need to encourage our political parties to bring back, because we are in a country now where, not in a country, we are in a world, an increasingly uncertain world, very volatile world, be it politically or economically. And it is no longer the preserve of international economic and policy institutions to actually direct our affairs as a country, be it politically, economically, or socially. And so in that case, we need to have organic policies or homegrown policies that are very contextually relevant to the daily needs of our people. So there's a sense of ownership, there's a sense of participation and belonging in terms of how those policies are churned out and how they then portend for the collective good of society. Until we are able to do that, we can't exert any form of influence on the international scale. For example, if the World Bank if there are funds available at the World Bank or the IMF for a certain project, but then we don't have our own ideas as to what exactly we want to use that money for, the World Bank will dictate to us.
Someone else will come and dictate
exactly,
to us.
And that dictation does not necessarily mean that it is what you want or what your people want. But when you have your own ideas, when you have your own programs that are very pragmatic, programs that are very beneficial in terms of their conception and everything, then you are making inroad towards self-sufficiency on that score. And once you are able to do that, even if you go and borrow, you know that the policy has inbuilt mechanisms to be able to pay back those money, so that the country doesn't become ridden with external debt to the extent that our cedi becomes one of the worst performing currencies everything just seems to be skyrocketing in terms of inflationary pressures, and then we don't know whether as a people we are making progress or otherwise.
So Dr. wrapping up, I have two very final questions for you. How do you think the media can use fact-checking to ensure our elections' integrity are intact? And also, how do you think the international bodies that will be monitoring our elections, how do you think their presence will also ensure some form of election integrity?
Well, our electoral integrity doesn't belong to external actors. It's primarily our elections. Its integrity must come from us. It is our actions, it's our decisions, it is the processes that we put in place. How those processes are foolproof, how those processes are actually germane to our context. That is what is going to guarantee the integrity of our elections.
So it's our own doing.
Yeah, it's our own doing. Foreign observers are just like catalysts in the process.
Like a referee.
Yes, they don't really add anything or take anything away from it. And so we as a people, as a nation, through our assigns, the Electoral Commission and its principal officers must ensure that they put in place measures where all parties to the elections are fairly treated, all parties to the elections are given equal treatment and access to whatever processes and mechanisms have been put in place for the election. They ensure that whatever digital technology they are employing, whatever mechanisms they are employing for voter collation, for voter result announcement, transmission, whatever, are processes that instigate confidence. There are processes that have the full gamut of security measures to ensure that they are free from any form of manipulation, being it from the opposition or the ruling party. Now, with regards to the media, as it always prides itself to be the fourth estate of the realm, must know that its actions are very crucial. It mustn't have a partisan take in this particular election. Its position must be the position of the Ghanaian. What is the news? The news is exactly what is happening wherever you are at any point in time. The news is not what you think must be or assume should be. That is very critical. We see people on radio when they are, and I know most of these media houses will deploy a number of either full-time or temporary staff, volunteers across the country. And there are times we hear them saying that, yes, we are expecting, but we think that. No,
it's not accurate.
It is not accurate. Tell us exactly what is happening, because that is what is going to ensure that people are not overly incensed about what is happening. Passions are not inflamed, emotions are not heightened, and then we can all go through this process as a nation and come out of it as a nation who is ready, willing to rally around a president to drive us from where we are now to a better place, both economically, socially, and politically.
Doc, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's been very interesting having you and getting your insights on the elections as well.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, so I've been speaking with Dr. Kafui Chekpo, and he's a research associate at the African Leadership Center in Nairobi. And we've been talking about election security, tackling misinformation, as well as fact-checking. He's been my guest on this week's edition of Election Desk on GhanaWeb TV. I am Mauli Aholimega. Many thanks for watching.
GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation 2007.
The sad reality is that today our democracy as a country is threatened.
Words of affirmation or love language comes to urge us on.
When this bill is passed, more lives will be saved, and the financial
I wish everybody to open up his brain and think well and choose a good person who can take care of this country. Not only people who comes in and say only what they want to say, convince people and give people what they small things, and then they go and put them on power. Then later on they start suffering. We don't want that kind of whatever. So I wish Ghanaians to think well, to choose their choice. They should think twice. They should sit back and think very well for so many years. If it's good for you, it's not good for your brother. If it's good for you, it's not good for your daughter. So you have to think well. Think very, very well. Who is the best person? I'm not for NPP, I'm not for NDC. I'm for the whole Ghana. So you guys should think. The way the white people are thinking, think like that. You shouldn't think like it's stupid. They give you 100 city, 200 city, you vote. Your future is very, very miserable. You guys should think well. How many years you are suffering? These people are for themselves. Don't you see the way their children are enjoying? You don't see what they buy for their kids? You don't see the cars they are using? And then you follow them? Think twice. Ghanaians should open up their mind. Not that only they say, hey, no. They shouldn't trust anybody. They should sit back and think what their father is earning, what their mom is doing, what the brothers are doing. So they got to open up their brain and wake up. Wake up. Not this guy or whatever. They should think well. The future is more great.
digital technologies, further accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic, demand that we update our policies and strategies to remain competitive and inclusive in the digital age. The President, in one of his speeches in 2018, alluded to the significant impact of technology in our developmental journey, and he said, and I quote, "At its core, the poverty gap is a technology gap. The mastery of technology is what, at the end of the day, separates developed countries from developing ones, or rich countries from poor countries. This is a gap we have to bridge," unquote. This sentiment expressed by the President, the fourth industrial revolution is here, presenting both opportunities and challenges that require bold and forward-thinking solutions. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, having access to digital technologies and services is no longer a luxury for the privileged few, but a human right for all, regardless of social status or geographical location. As a staunch advocate of digitalization to reduce inequalities at all levels, it's been my privilege and priority to implement people-centric digital initiatives that benefit us all. We're in the process of implementing the Digital Ghana agenda to ensure that services across all sectors are digitalized to enhance transparency, access, accountability, and efficiency. I thank His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his vision of a digitally transformed Ghana, his leadership. Vice President, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for driving Ghana's digital agenda and spearheading several initiatives from the digital address system to the Ghana identification card, the Ghana card, which have revolutionized our approach to governance and service delivery. Since the adoption of the ICT for Accelerated Development Policy in 2003 under President Kufuor, we've systematically laid the foundation for our digital economy with significant reforms and investments in ICT infrastructure, applications, and services. However, as we've all witnessed, the rapid evolution of digital technologies, further accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic, demand that we update our policies and strategies to remain competitive and inclusive in the digital age. The President, in one of his speeches in 2018, alluded to the significant impact of technology in our developmental journey, and he said, and I quote, "At its core, the poverty gap is a technology gap. The mastery of technology is what, at the end of the day, separates developed countries from developing ones, or rich countries from poor countries. This is a gap we have to bridge," unquote. This sentiment expressed by the President requires a concerted effort by all to achieve the desired goal. It also requires the integration and possible expansion of existing digital infrastructure, applications, and services to prevent duplication, fragmentation, and waste of scarce resources. We need a framework to guide the smooth implementation of our digital policies and programs, and we can't continue to use the 2003 ICT for Accelerated Development Policy, which has clearly been overtaken by events. And that is why we're here today. For under Akufo-Addo, and with the support of the World Bank and the Tony Blair Institute, we've developed the Ghana Digital Economy Policy, the culmination of years of work by a dedicated team assisting the consultants chosen for the purpose. What Kufuor began, Akufo-Addo Bawumia have finished. One of our key priorities has been to establish a robust digital infrastructure. The expansion of broadband access across the country has been pivotal. We have built a high-speed government network connecting 951 public institutions around the country, powered by 3,500 kilometers of newly laid fiber in 2023. providing a nationwide resilient 100 gigabits per second optical fiber infrastructure, ensuring that the most remote areas have access to reliable internet. This connectivity is the backbone of our digital economy, enabling businesses to thrive, students to learn, and citizens to connect. On the e-government front, we've implemented several initiatives, including the Ghana.gov platform, a single portal providing access to a wide range of government services, making them more accessible, efficient, and transparent. The portal has been expanded to include a citizens app, which was recently launched by the Vice President, a mobile platform that will enable users to access public services on their smart mobile devices in the comfort of their homes and offices. No more Guru boys. Ghana's digital agenda aims to ensure equal access to broadband internet connectivity throughout the country. We've implemented policies to ensure every communications user has equal access to public and private digital services, regardless of their service provider. Even though many digital initiatives have been implemented ahead of the launch of this policy, the policy will help consolidate the gains made and chart the course for the future. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this digital economy policy and strategy is therefore not just timely, but essential in addressing the new realities of the digital transformation we are pursuing. It aims to set a clear direction for harnessing digital technologies and platforms to drive economic growth, create sustainable jobs, and improve service delivery to our citizens. It seeks to address 5 broad areas that we believe will unlock the full potential of our digital economy. These include universal access and connectivity, digital government, digital skills and research, digital entrepreneurship, and data and emerging technologies. It has an aggressive implementation plan and timelines to enable us to achieve some significant milestones and ensure we leave no one behind as a country. It has real-world implications for our economy, especially in high-potential sectors. And through the application of digital technologies, we are confident that we will see significant progress in areas such as job creation, entrepreneurship, and public service delivery. By unlocking value in these sectors, we're also ensuring that our digital economy contributes meaningfully to our GDP growth. Looking forward, we recognize that the rapid pace of technological change calls for a new approach to regulation, one that is adaptive, agile, and collaborative. Regulation should focus on outcomes rather than the means, ensuring that innovation can thrive while safeguarding against potential negative consequences. Cross-sector collaboration will also be key as the lines between industries become increasingly blurred in the digital age. As a country, we also do not have enough resources to address the widening connectivity and service acquisition gap without private sector funding. As a critical complement to our development goals in the medium to the long term, we require private sector partnerships and development partner support that promotes a win-win approach to implement initiatives that will bring connectivity, access, and services to underserved and unserved communities within the next 4 years and beyond. This will serve as the platform for digital initiatives to thrive for the benefit of all. Digital technologies, however, come with their own attendant challenges, such as mobile fraud, abuse, attacks, misinformation, disinformation, etc. We can mitigate some of these challenges through a comprehensive awareness campaign and knowledge sharing through audio visuals in local dialects, promoted through in-person encounters and on traditional and social media handles. The strategies outlined in the policy will enable us to carry everyone along. Being aware is being empowered. I'd also like to take this opportunity, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to extend our gratitude to the World Bank for the unwavering support in the development of the Ghana Digital Economy Policy and Strategy. Your contribution has been instrumental in shaping a future-ready policy that we believe will drive Ghana's digital transformation for years to come. I would also like to express my gratitude to the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change for their guidance and support in shaping this policy. I must acknowledge the tireless efforts of the many stakeholders, both in government and in the private sector, who've contributed to this process. This policy has been truly stakeholder-led, and contributions have been provided from all sectors of the economy: private sector, public sector, individuals in the tech space, who have all contributed to enrich this policy. I urge us all to own it and to use it. Your collaboration and commitment are the reason why we're here today. And I must thank the team at the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization for the coordination and efforts put into the development of the policy and its official launch. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this digital economy policy and strategy is our roadmap to positioning Ghana as a leader in Africa's digital future. We will be the digital hub for the continent. To get there, we require the collective effort from us all: government, private sector, academia, development partners, and civil society, to make this vision a reality. Together we can build a digital economy that benefits every Ghanaian and secures a prosperous future for our country. It holds the key to providing sustainable, well-paying jobs for our young people. So I'm glad the NPP in its 2024 manifesto has indicated that they're going to provide 1 million young people with the digital skills that will enable them to take advantage of the opportunities that implementation of this policy will unlock. Cybersecurity is also a critical area, and so the manifesto also indicates that 5,000 will be trained specifically in cybersecurity for our use and hopefully for export as well, since our few professionals are already being poached by the private sector and other countries. Together we can build a digital economy that benefits every Ghanaian and secures a prosperous future for our country. This sector holds the key to the transformation of our entire economy through technology, and we intend to lead the efforts to achieve that. So Dr. Bawumia has not abandoned the economy. We're building our digital economy. On that note, I duly launched the Ghana Digital Economy Policy and Strategy. Thank you, and may God bless us all. Watch out, I'm I declare the Digital Economy Policy and Strategy duly launched. Thank you very much.
What a way to position Ghana as the leader in African digital future. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, colleagues. I think that we allow the media to ask few questions. I believe that most of the questions will be coming after we peruse the policy document more than what has been done now. So, but if you have any pertinent question you want to ask, we'll allow for 2 or 3 questions for now. We'll give you opportunity to assess the document. You go through the document, and perhaps I think that the ministry and its agencies will be available to answer other questions pertaining to the document and the policy. This is a policy that will need the media as a collaborator to ensure that the good people of this country are well informed about the policy, the advantages, and what we can take out of this policy. Within the digital space, there are rules, regulations, and then government-owned position and the policies. We need to be well informed about it. So the media is going to be a key partner in disseminating the policy to the level that every Ghanaian understands it. Digital economy is not a reserve for the elite. Even to the informal sector, they have a space in this. So we have a responsibility to make sure that the market woman, the informal sector, so understand this policy to understand how they can take advantage of the digital space that we talk about. So, ladies and gentlemen, our friends from the media, if you have any question, we can allow for 2 or 3 questions and then we go. Yes, please. You mention your name and your media house, the usual suspects. Yes, please. Who has the...
Hello, good afternoon, madam. My name is Anapoku from Daily Searchlight newspaper. Can you give the cost component of the whole project? How much is going to go into it, if you wouldn't mind? And then you did mention that the World Bank has supported you. What ways, in terms of cash or what? We want to find out what the role the World Bank played in this policy document being churned out, or the policy being churned out. If you can tell us. Thank you.
Nana, the cost of the policy,
the project. Is a policy or project? I don't know, because every policy, whatever, comes a cost component, isn't it?
All right. The minister will take it. Yes. No, the cost of drafting the policy, yes.
I'm Kofi Amponsa with the Daily Guide. Quick one to the minister. I would also want to find out, as a strategy, are there timelines for us to achieve that strategy? Thank you.
The last one. I think, Minister, that will be all for now. Your job will be the timelines for achieving the strategy in a policy document. Thank you.
Okay. Since we have consultants.
Kwalebu was, I think, 380.
380 Ghana cedis.
Yes. But private, some are 500, 450, some are 800, 860.
Per session,
yes.
You have to do 2 every
week.
Yeah.
Even if someone earns 5,000 Ghana cedis every month, that person cannot keep paying 380 cedis 3 times a week for dialysis.
Majority of the people who need dialysis to survive in Ghana don't even earn half of the amount mentioned.
Some people battling organ diseases end up losing their jobs because their companies cannot keep paying them for always being absent.
How are these people expected to afford the monies needed for dialysis, as well as other expenses, talk less of the huge amounts they have to come up with for transplantation surgeries outside Ghana when they get donors?
It is because of these people that GhanaWeb in August 2023 launched the organ donation legislation campaign to push for the country to pass a law that will guide organ harvesting and transplanting.
As Kwalebu plans to increase dialysis fees, the situation requires quicker attention and action.
And so, we must get Parliament to start discussing the organ donation bill and pass it into law.
Now, when this bill is passed, more lives will be saved and the financial burden on patients would be reduced.
And that is why we need you to join us on this campaign. Join the campaign by sending a 1-minute video of yourself sharing why Ghana needs a legislation on organ donation now to editor@GhanaWeb.com or via WhatsApp 0552 699 625. Alternatively, you can share the video directly on your social media handles with the hashtags #PassOrganDonationLaw and #LegalizeOrganDonationNow. Organ failure should not be a death sentence.
I wish everybody to open up his brain and think well and choose a good person who can take care of this country. Not only people who comes in and say only what they want to say, convince people and give people what they small things, and then they go and put them on power. Then later on they start suffering. We don't want that kind of whatever. So I wish Ghanaians to think well, to choose their choice. They should think twice. They should sit back and think very well for so many years. If it's good for you, it's not good for your brother. If it's good for you, it's not good for your daughter. So you have to think well. Think very, very well. Who is the best person? I'm not for NPP, I'm not for NDC. I'm for the whole Ghana. So you guys should think. The way the white people are thinking, think like that. You shouldn't think like it's stupid. They give you 100 city, 200 city, you vote. Your future is very, very miserable. You guys should think well. How many years you are suffering? These people are for themselves. Don't you see the way their children are enjoying? You don't see what they buy for their kids? You don't see the cars they are using? And then you follow them? Think twice. Ghanaians should open up their mind. Not that only they say, hey, no. They shouldn't trust anybody. They should sit back and think what their father is earning, what their mom is doing, what the brothers are doing. So they got to open up their brain and wake up. Wake up. Not this guy or whatever. They should think well. The future is more great.
Chair Doctor Mahmoud Baumia, Oya Francophonie, Edema, MPP Party, Wabedu Hano, Osia Uhiapa, Semoko, Nabuchia Ubia, Nawa Mamre Kwaso, Entino, Ansala, Yabeshe, Ejumadina, Seno, the call, which is champion for the India Noma, over to Popai, Abaha.
And to welcome His Excellency, the Vice President, on behalf of the chiefs and people of Greater Accra. I'm excited because I'm associating myself to a visionary leader, a bold leader, a consummate politician, and a very experienced hand that will change the fortunes of this country come the 7th of January 2025. Your Excellency, a few weeks ago, I was with you at the AMA conference hall when you launched a similar application to support our local taxi drivers. Sometimes when I sit back and I listen to John Mahama, that you are running away from the economy and talking about digitalization, I see this as a problem. You cannot talk about the economy without talking about digitalization. They are intertwined, they are linked up to move our economy forward. Therefore, this morning, you are taking another bold step to launch this electric bus transport system for our country. For us in the region, we are excited because we are hosting this luncheon. And it's our duty to support you and that of Metro Mass to make sure that this very important exercise becomes successful. As a former Deputy Minister for Transport, I want to implore on the MD and the staff that you should take care of these buses very well, so these buses can last longer. Without wasting much time, on behalf of the chiefs and people of Greater Accra, we want to welcome you, Your Excellency, and everybody here to this very important launching of this electric bus transport. God bless our Vice President. God bless our nation, Ghana, and make it strong. Thank you.
I wish to welcome you to the premises of the Greater Accra Passenger Transport Executive, GhanaWeb. I also want to humbly express my gratitude to His Excellency for conferring such honor on GhanaWeb, allowing us to host this historic event. GhanaWeb is highly satisfied to collaborate with Metro Mass Transit on this August occasion. GhanaWeb was established by the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development through the local administration of the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area to harness the necessary human and material resources for planning, implementing higher occupancy mass transit services. This is in the light of the chronic traffic congestions which pose a major mobility challenge in the daily commutes and travels in Accra. It is also symptomatic of a growing problem of rapid urban population increase and urban sprawl with limited infrastructural support. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it is projected that more than 60% of our population will transition into urban communities within the next decade. The current urban environment in Ghana has grown increasingly complex due to demographic shifts and changes in services, necessitating a different approach than that employed in the previous decade. This is why GhanaWeb's mandate to develop and implement systems for urban transport permitting, network planning services, contract management, and urban transport management becomes even more relevant. Since its inception, GhanaWeb has worked diligently with the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies to implement public transport regulatory measures that have culminated in providing sanitized transport operations within their respective areas of jurisdiction. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the journey has not been straightforward during our brief existence. However, we are pleased to announce that amidst the challenges, significant achievements have been accomplished. One notable milestone, Your Excellency, has been the successful training of Kayaye under the Vice President Empowerment Project for Kayayes. This program has transformed the economic and social well-being of vulnerable and deprived young women, enabling them to have a positive impact on the lives of others. Ladies and gentlemen, for what I've just said, the Vice President, knowing that in 2017, GhanaWeb trained the first batch of 60 female drivers to drive buses in Ghana, called us into a meeting and said, GhanaWeb, how can you train Kayayes to also drive buses? Because for the Vice President, he wanted to move the Kayayes from carrying goods on their head to carrying passengers in buses. So that was the Vice President's vision, and he called us to let this be possible. We told him, Mr. President, it is possible for Kayayes to drive buses. It is possible for us to do it within 5 months. And today, Your Excellency, I am here to tell you that the ladies you gave us today are driving buses, and you will see it very soon on your screens. Furthermore, to enhance the regulatory functions of public transport within Greater Accra metropolitan area, GhanaWeb has partnered with Office of the Head of Local Government Service to provide training and capacity building initiative for public transport departments, enabling them to perform their duties effectively. Ultimately, this endeavor will contribute to fulfilling overarching mandates for the GhanaWeb as it was established. Your Excellency, traffic congestion in Accra presents numerous challenges to our nation's overall social and economic fabric. It adversely impacts economic productivity, increases stress levels among students, and undermines social network, among other effects. To address this, GhanaWeb has initiated effort to implement a contra-flow concept that is expected to reduce travel time for passenger transport and cause a modal shift from car dependency to public transport dependency. Your Excellency, again, to achieve your vision of deploying EV buses in Accra, what we are saying is that the deployment of the EV buses may not be effective if the buses are not moving faster than the ordinary traffic. So together with the Department of Urban Roads, the Ministry of Transport, the Police MTTD, and GhanaWeb, we have designed a contra-flow concept. And this is how it works. In Accra, the traffic situation is directional. In the morning, everybody is heading to the city center. In the evening, everybody is coming out. Whilst we are moving to the city center, the other side of the road is free. And whilst we are coming home, the other side of the road is free. So what we are going to do is that we are going to take one lane of the other lane and allow the EV buses to move contra and get to the city center faster, efficiently, so that people can enjoy the benefit of the Vice President's initiative. possible. It is possible. It is possible. Your Excellency, at GhanaWeb, we are pleased and motivated by the digitization initiative. In addition to modernizing travel processes, it addresses critical operational challenges such as revenue leakages. In this context, GhanaWeb has formally allowed the tap and go system to be implemented on the Ayalolo buses. So effective January, Ayalolo will use tap and go, which is the initiative of the Vice President. GhanaWeb also plans to facilitate and upgrade truck vehicles into good quality public transport to support mass transport systems for local roads in neighborhood trunk routes leading to major social and economic land uses. Your Excellency, we are thankful for this collaboration between GhanaWeb and Metro Mass. We are thankful for your leadership, and we are also thankful for the team that you gave us to work with us to make this thing possible. We are grateful to all. Thank you, Your Excellency. And now you can see your ladies driving on the screen. Thank you.
As a politician, at this crucial time is not a best friend of me or of any of the politicians sitting here. So we cannot confine ourselves to this place for a long time. A lot has been said by the managing director of MMT, which I could find in my speech. GhanaWeb has also said something which I could also find it in my speech. I do not intend to repeat them, but there's a simple thing that I have to do today, is to thank His Excellency the Vice President for such policy. For those of you who may not know, and I will come to the media, I think it is important that I let media know certain things. His Excellency has been on me for this particular project. His position is that we don't need to wait for 20 years before we can implement any policy. Some people think that in order for us to implement a major policy, we have to wait for 20 years. That is not the thinking of His Excellency the Vice President. So to you, the media, I want to say that when we were commissioning the Jamestown Fishing Harbour, I said something, because the time that we found ourselves, there was a contention about who did this and who didn't do that. There shouldn't be any contention about who introduced electric vehicle bus policy in this country. That person is the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. It's not about somebody who tried to dream about it, but he didn't dream, so we should give him credit. So I beg you, when you leave here, it's not going to be any dreamers. It's not going to be who thought about it. It's the person who had come out with this policy. And that person is His Excellency, the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. And I think that the media will do as I have explained, because I did not find any policy on my table before we took office. So I don't know that anybody might have thought about it. Politics is not about magic. There's no magic in politics today. The time that we used to have Professor Diago Diazamboja, Professor Hindu and co, they are all past. Today, politics that we do today is practical. So please, the media, I beg you, you shouldn't go and raise any contention that somebody, we saw it in somebody's manifesto about 20 years ago and they didn't do it. That is not what it is. This policy, this electric vehicle policy and its implementation is by His Excellency the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I was in my office when he called me and said, Minister, we are going to do this, so please do it. So I also give marching orders to my deputy that my boss said we should do this. So let's go ahead and do it. So please, that contention is settled. I do not want to, I hope I will not hear anything that somebody might have dreamt about it about 10 years ago. That is not the contention. The second thing is that this policy or this project is not about Metro Mass. The Vice President's intention is to reform the whole public transport system. Because if we concentrate only with Metro Mass and STC, it means that we are dealing with only about 5% of public transport system. That is not his position. His position is that we are introducing a policy, we are introducing a project that to revamp or that to change or reform the public transport system. So we are using the Metro Mass as a test base. It's not that we are only concentrating on the Metro Mass. So this first phase that we are launching, we want the Metro Mass to operate it for her to see the issues that we are going to have in terms of problems and other things, so that we can deal with it when we are going to do the whole arrangement. So please, that is it. So for the private sector, especially GPLTU and GLTCC, please be ready for training. Be ready that the Vice President is going to introduce these electric vehicle buses for the whole public transport system. And we need your people. That's why we are entreating the people who are operating public transport in this country that please belong to an association. Please belong to a group, because we cannot deal with a group of people that we cannot identify. So National Road Safety is coming out with a policy from next year going. We are going to be strict about it. We want people to belong to an association so that government can also help them when it can in terms of training and also providing them with buses. So nobody should think that this thing is about Metro Mass. We are using Metro Mass as a test base because it will be easier for us to identify the issues involved and deal with them.
When I first suggested the idea of moving public transport in Ghana to electric vehicles, many thought that it was not possible. They said it was an election promise that will not be fulfilled. And unfortunately, this is the mindset of impossibility. And it was at play in this situation as it has been at play for the last 8 years that we have been in government. As a government, we are thinking transformation. We are thinking making things possible that have not been here. But a lot of people are always, expressing the mindset of impossibilities. Remember when we tried to do the Ghana card, to implement it after 8 years of failure to do so by the previous government. Many people wondered if we could do so, but we have made it possible. And other countries are now coming to learn from Ghana to issue the national ID cards in their countries. When we said you could use the Ghana card to travel from outside Ghana into Ghana, people thought it was not possible. In fact, a lot of time was spent discussing it. We have made it possible, and they are quiet. And in fact, from maybe sometime next week, people traveling into Ghana with their Ghana card will be met with e-gates at the Kotoka International Airport, and they will not need to go through immigration because they can use their Ghana card to enter Ghana. When we said we will bring mobile money interoperability, many people scoffed at the idea because no country in Africa had done so. But we have done so. And today, Ghana is the only country in the whole of Africa that has complete domestic payments interoperability. The only country. When we said we were bringing drones to help deliver medicines and vaccines. They said it was not possible. They even said we were coming to take pictures of women in their bathrooms. But we have made it possible. And Ghana today is the whole world's leading medical drone delivery service in the whole world. Even when we talked about free SHS, they said it was not possible. And we made it possible. When we talked about Agenda 111, they said we couldn't do it. But we have shown that we can do it, and we are doing it. They scoffed at the idea of hostels for Kayaye. They said it was not going to be possible. We've made it possible. We said we will replace premixed fuel for fishermen with solar outboard motors. When I said it, they thought it was not possible. They laughed at the idea. We have made it possible. When we said we will bring credit scoring into Ghana for the first time in our history, many doubted it and said we were not going to be able to do it. But we have done it. I'm saying all these because of the mindset of impossibility. We are going to transform this country, and we need a possibilities mindset. So I was not surprised when the naysayers once again rose up to poo-poo the idea of electric vehicles for public transportation in Ghana. Rather than discouraging me because of all the previous naysaying they had done, I was rather encouraged and determined to follow through and see to the implementation of electric vehicles for public transport in Ghana. I had no doubt in my mind that this was possible. If other countries can deploy electric buses for public transportation, why not Ghana? The transport sector, as you all know, is a major contributory factor to the growth of our economy, and most importantly, a necessary precondition for the guaranteed success of education, jobs, markets, healthcare, among others. In pursuit of this, agencies such as Metromass, Transit Limited, Ayalolo, STC, and so on have existed to implement government policy to make transport services accessible and affordable to all. These companies provide services to very remote areas of Ghana. Unfortunately, over the years, the growth of these companies has been heavily impacted by high operational costs, particularly the cost of diesel, revenue leakages, and the maintenance of their fleet of buses. In addressing these operational challenges, government took steps to ensure that these companies evolve to meet new challenges. Among the measures that have been introduced to improve public transport services included the following. We supplied 200 intercity buses to augment and expand the existing operations. We supplied 100 buses for the Intercity STC Coaches Limited, and deployment of an electronic ticketing system, the Tap and Go system, to address revenue leakage and modernize bus services. We've also enhanced the enhancement of the mandate of the National Road Safety Authority as the regulator of road safety rules, procedures, standards, and guidelines. The launch of the Transport Ghana project by the National Road Safety Authority for regulatory compliance. The Transport Ghana project is an IT-based solution for pre-departure checks, passenger manifest ticketing, vehicle tracking, and driver training. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the acquisition of these electric buses is not just about revamping the operations of Metro Mass Transit Limited and a signaling to other agencies to follow suit, but also to position them to play a leading role in the drive to net zero emission transport future and a future with low cost of transportation. When you think about it, anytime fuel prices internationally go up, then you see it translating immediately into domestic increase in fuel prices, then into increase in transportation fares according to the existing formula. I was thinking very deeply about this and how we can cushion the Ghanaian public from these external influences. But I came to the conclusion that going towards electric vehicles in public transport was the surest way to protect ourselves from the external influences of the rise in diesel and other petroleum prices that affect the cost of transportation in Ghana. The launch of the National Electric Vehicle Policy has ushered in a new era of innovation. And this policy was launched by His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on the sidelines of the COP28 in Dubai. We have ushered in a new era of innovation, driving gradual decarbonization of the transport sector. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today we are making history with the commissioning of these electric buses. It represents a visionary shift in how we approach public transport. Today we are making a definitive step towards revolutionizing the transport sector with sustainability and innovation at its core. Today, we are setting the stage for a future and aligning our interventions with global best practices. The use of fossil fuel-powered vehicles, its impact on climate change and air pollution are no longer distant threats, but urgent realities that demand immediate action. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the economic benefits of using electric buses cannot be overemphasized. Electric buses, as we know, offer lower operating and maintenance costs compared to conventional diesel buses. The use of the electric bus will therefore translate into more efficient use of resources and cut operational costs by about 50% to the benefit of passengers. Metro Mass will be better positioned to enhance services, lower transport fares, and invest in fleet renewal and expansion efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, while the benefits are promising, the success of this project relies heavily on commitment to robust and continuous maintenance. The neglect and mishandling of buses will derail the effort that has gone into the acquisition of these buses. As a people, we should know that reckless use of public assets represents an enormous drain on national resources. I therefore want to use this opportunity to urge the board and management to take steps to ensure that these buses stand the test of time. The cost of postponed maintenance due to neglect is usually high, and we must try to prevent such occurrences. Ladies and gentlemen, the need for specialized training in maintenance and operation of electric vehicles will increase as we progress. This presents opportunities for new skill acquisition. Government will therefore partner with educational institutions, in particular TVET, to train the needed workforce for this particular infrastructure. By investing in skill development, we are ensuring that this transition is smooth and beneficial to all parties involved. I have been informed that a new strategic business unit has been set up to ensure the efficient operation of the buses. The unit will work with partners to provide maintenance and tech support, EV battery charging infrastructure, EV bus revenue management, tracking, and most importantly, driver training. Ladies and gentlemen, every bold step forward comes with its own challenges. We are aware that these challenges are prepared to address them head on. I have the assurance of the board and management of Metro Mass Transit Limited that these electric buses will be put to good use, starting this year with a pilot on 2 major routes in the national capital, Adenta to Accra and Ashaiman to Accra. So we will be piloting these 2 major routes, Adenta to Accra and Ashaiman to Accra. And after the pilot, we will expand to the rest of the region and the country. It is no longer a secret that we urgently need to improve the quality of our public transport services. Starting with the public transport operators such as GPRTU and the Trotro subsector, I will work closely with GhanaWeb to embark on a fleet renewal program through the deployment of e-vehicles. We will help GPRTU and other transport operators to acquire and facilitate the acquisition of these electric vehicles, these buses they will encourage their business. This will be achieved through an improved public regulatory system, enabling the government to acquire the necessary regulatory data and support a fleet renewal credit scheme. Now, the Ministry of Transport is undertaking nationwide dissemination of the National Electronic Vehicle Policy to create the needed awareness and build support for its implementation. The primary reason our local taxi vehicles and trotros are often old vehicles is the difficulty in repaying loans for new expensive vehicles when used for operations. A good way to resolve this issue is to leverage the tap-and-go system. The tap-and-go system will help local drivers conduct their transactions digitally, building their credit to obtain new vehicles on favorable credit terms. This is why it is crucial for us to intensify our digitalization efforts, providing lending comfort to all potential investors through our digitalized operations. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while today's event is cause for celebration, it is also a reminder that our journey is far from over. The commissioning of these buses is the beginning of a broader strategy to modernize and decarbonize the transport sector. I envision a future where electric vehicles are the standard, with modern technology playing a key part in it. This vision will require us to be innovative in our approach to problem solving and collaborate to build a seamless transportation system where one tap-and-go card can be used on all public transport vehicles, including our railway system. So the tap-and-go card, as we have developed it, is going to be operational. This is how we are envisioning it across the entire public sector. So you can take your tap-and-go card, board a train, and then when you arrive in Accra, that same card, you board an EV bus and take it right to Accra. And then down the road, if you have to take a trotro, You can use your tap and go card on your trotro as well. So it's one card for the whole transport system. That is what we are seeking to do. Currently, your tap and go card will work on the railway as we are planning, and it will also work on the EV buses, and we'll extend it to all the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, the road ahead will require the active participation of all and sundry, especially transport service providers. It will also require cultural and behavioral shifts that embrace sustainability. Government will therefore continue to seek partnerships, leverage on the collective experience of stakeholders to develop our nation. As we commission these first batch of electric buses, let us take pride in this historic moment. It is a declaration of the government's commitment to public transport electrification. These buses are not just a response to the challenges of high transport fares, among others. It is a proactive step towards the future we want to see, a future where Ghana leads in sustainability, inclusivity, and innovation. In conclusion, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the stakeholders who have contributed in diverse ways to make today a living reality. It is my hope that we would all be inspired by this development and the decarbonization agenda of government in pursuit of the vision for a net zero emission future. For our passengers who will be boarding these electric vehicles, these buses, I think the biggest question in your minds is how much is it going to cost? And I think that the answer, and it is consistent with our estimates, that when I announced this policy in February of this year, when I gave my lecture at the UPSA, I think between 40 to 50% reduction in the fares from these electric buses. This is what you are going to see. From today, when you board it, you will see that the price is 40 to 50% lower because the operational costs are lower, and you are able to pass that on to the consumer. And this is where we see the future of public transport going. I thank you all very much for your attention. God bless you, and God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you very much.
We will start on a note of asking for his blessing as we go through this very important commitment. Let us follow Nina Eba Chayabia. There will be a Nanimati. I can remember how a drummer, the Ebelebe, the man here yellow, the Gino, the Alhaj, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, Eba, Pony Eba, what was the Adone, Ahimama. Ready, go!